you have him up on live?
Yeah, we're going.
Here we go. We have another team crossing. This will be the second team to finish.
Let's go,
As
Gladwell!
coming towards me here, I see they are Team 46.
Let's go, Gladwell!
Representing the Airborne and Ranger Training Brigade. That's Captain Gordon and Staff Sergeant Gladwell.
I'm going to hop on a mic here pretty quick, and then we'll start getting this portion of the live stream going.
Okay, Drilling Range called me and said if we want, they can give me the link so that you guys can talk to them or space.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you Tito's number.
Okay, so this live stream we just started Best Ranger Competition live. If you want to put that on, that's like we're going to start commentary on a social, I don't know.
Oh no, I have it pinned on the top. They go to the QR code, goes straight to that page.
To like the overall page, and then they can choose which live stream they want to watch.
Yeah.
Dude, you're the man.
Okay, I'm gonna give you Tito. I'm gonna forewarn you. Tito's annoying. But he has all you do is curling range. He's one of the, no, he's one of the vendors. One of the companies. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna give you his number. He's gonna give you access so that you can switch to the curling range off. Is that something you can do?
I don't know what you mean. What do you mean?
For filler?
There's going to be a curling range.
Curling range.
A URL to the curling.
I believe so.
Because look,
I don't know the answer to this. I don't know if it's just a link. But it could be.
what I can, I mean, if you give me a URL, I can do that.
Okay.
I can plug that in, and then we can go. Yeah. All I need is like whatever you want. So we're seeing Vince.
Yeah.
If you want to see anything else, all I need is the URL.
Okay.
If it's an image, I just need the image. If it's a commercial, which we haven't even done yet.
Alright, I'm going to start talking on this.
Yeah, does it look good?
Sounds good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Vince Pikowski, coming to you live from the 2026 Best Ranger competition. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties here at the patrol base this morning, but we got those resolved. It was a chilly, chilly morning. We had 61 teams start the competition this morning at 6 a.m., and they have been rocking and rolling ever since. Just to walk you through exactly what they went through this here at Camp Rogers, they left under the banner. They did about a 6-mile run. That 6-mile run included a 3-mile run to a sandbag, pick up a 40-pound sandbag, return here to Camp Rogers. They dropped that sandbag. They moved down the road to Victory Pond, and for the first time in recent memory, they swam Victory Pond in the dark in the freezing cold water. Across the pond, ran back to here where they started picking up water cans, and those water cans moved out. We've got a team finishing coming across the line. You can see right now they moved out with those water cans. Those water cans then they had to carry back and forth from the start line to a turnaround point, but every time they dropped the can, they had to go back to the start line. They have now covered about 15 miles. We had the top teams come through initially in about 2 hours and 15 minutes to complete about a 16-mile movement for the first 3 events. Now, what we started with here, we started with 61 teams here at the Best Ranger competition from units all across the Army. And what we're cutting down to at 9 o'clock is to the top 40 teams. So the first 40 teams to finish this water can event will move on to be able to compete the rest of the day for the chance to be crowned the Best Ranger. If you're just joining us for the first time and you've never seen the Best Ranger competition before, the Best Ranger competition is a 3-day competition with events every day. It is nearly continuous, and it is unlike any other endurance or physical challenge in the world. We will have about 25 events today, and each event is scored. So if you take first place in any event, you will receive 40 points for that event. And would get 39 points all the way down until you got to last place, which will only get 1 point. At that point, we are going to tally up all the scores, rack and stack competitors, and then competitors will continue to move on throughout the day where they can continue to earn points. The teams with the top points win. As we move through this, there are really 4 types of challenges. We've got physical, technical, tactical, and cognitive challenges, and points are split just about evenly among those 4 opportunities. So there's really an opportunity for everyone in order to be successful. Now, it's important to note that within every competition, there is primarily a physical component, so you can't get around the physical component here today. And so while teams just completed 16 miles, the rest of the day is highly physical. By the time they get back here to Malvesti and into the Ruckhold, they will have traveled about 33 to 35 miles of almost continuous movement. They will have conducted several ranges today. We'll have some cameras out at Krilling Range. We'll have some cameras out at the Black Gun or the Black Powder ranges, and we'll get guys rocking and rolling out there in order for you guys to see the live action out there. Our primary scheme of operations here throughout the weekend, we're really going to have 2 live streams always going. We're going to have this one at what we call the patrol base, where we're going to give you updates on team scoring, who's been placing, who's been finishing, and then we're going to kick you out to some of these ranges as well. You can go through the live feed and choose which one you want to be a part of. So if you want to come here and see some commentary, come here and see some commentary. If you want to see the action, go ahead and switch on over to the action pages and work there. So again, we are waiting right here. I believe we've had 2 teams finish the water can movement so far. Regimental team from the 75th Ranger Regiment and a team from the Airborne Ranger Training Brigade. 2 organizations that typically put together a fantastic train up, and we are seeing it pay off for those individuals right now.
The competitors are currently completing the long haul competition event, and this is going to be the last event of the buy-in before they move on to Ranger Reckoning. Please feel free to find the QR codes located all over Camp Rogers. That'll get you able to stay tuned in so that you can see the current standings and also the schedule for the remaining events throughout the day.
There you heard it. We got teams finishing up the long haul event. As they finish up the long haul event, they are going to transition into the portion of the day called Ranger Reckoning. Ranger Reckoning is they are going to move to the pit behind me. They're going to grab their rucksacks and they're going to move out. They've got about 13 different events that they can go to throughout the day. They can hit them in any order. They can decide which ones they want to go to, which ones they want to bypass. But at the end of the day, what they're trying to do is accumulate more points than other teams. If they can do that, they have a chance to be successful, and they have a chance to win today. Before we continue, I just want to say, while we've got teams out here competing to be named and crowned the best Ranger, I also want us to just take a moment to remember that the best Ranger didn't make it here this weekend. The best Ranger went overseas, fought for his country, and did not return. And it's for this competition that we are going to celebrate their life, their legacy, the legacy of the Rangers as a whole, and the legacy that this community means for the Army and for the nation at large. So while this weekend is a lot about these competitors, it is also about the Rangers that came before us and celebrating the ethos of what it means to move faster, further, and fight harder than any other soldier. So we'll continue watching here as teams finish up. I know we've got a team from the 11th Airborne Division that's getting pretty close with their cans, and we've also got a team from USASOC, Team 55, that is getting pretty close with their cans. We should be seeing them in about the next 5 to 10 minutes, and as we see them, we'll let you know as they come through. Again, right now we're just watching teams come in and out of the start line. They have to continuously hit this yellow line over here. And then they're running back out to their cans. The turnaround point is about 0.75 miles away, where they have to drop their cans and then continue back here. So you've got about 1.5 miles of continuously carrying these cans. They're about 40 pounds. You got one in each hand, and each partner carries 2 cans. So over time, you just see these guys grip really, really taxing. Earlier in the day, we had a wicked fast start to this competition. The Rangers went out at about 6:30, 6:15 a mile for the first mile, clearing it remarkably fast and then continuing to move very well. And then throughout this, when you think they got to swim, they had to move water cans, they had to run, and they did 16 miles of movement in about 2 hours and 10 minutes with all of those iterations in between, carrying the sandbag, carrying the water cans, swimming in the pond, and moving like lightning. So we are out here again at Camp Rogers today, watching the 42nd annual Best Ranger competition. Here in a little bit, we'll have some individuals come up and join me, talk through their experience with the competition. We'll have some vendors come up, talk about the products that they've got in a Ranger's hands for the weekends in order to help them be successful. And we'll also get some VIPs up here, whether they've competed before, they they're members of the military or just legends of the community, and kind of get their take not only on what this competition means for the Ranger community, but what it also means for the Army as a whole, and what we can take out of this and really put back into the Army to make the force as a whole better. So we'll continue to watch here. Again, I think we've got a team from the 11th Airborne Division that's getting close, and I'll get those team numbers as they come across. And I think we've got a USASOC team, Team 55, that's getting pretty close with their cans. As they get closer and closer with their cans, we'll let you know as they clear. We have had a few medical drops already this morning. I know we had a sprained ankle, and I know we had a heat incident out on course. It is important to note that this competition is covered by world-class medical coverage provided by the Ranger Training Brigade, and they make sure all the Rangers stay safe out here, and if anything goes wrong, they make sure to exfil them pretty quick, get them the care they need, and continue mission. So we are rocking and rolling out here right now, firing on all cylinders, and we've got members of RTB, members of units, coaches out here, families out here, media out here, all watching their competitors rock and roll as we move through the 42nd annual Best Ranger competition. We've got some teams also by the water can turnaround right now that they're refilling their water. I think a very important note from this year's competition is that this year's competition, they are allowed to bring their own nutrition, they're allowed to bring their own hydration, and they're allowed to figure out those problem sets kind of by themselves. So they can get MREs, absolutely, but they're also bringing goos, gels, different types of hydration equipment. And so what you see Rangers doing out there on course consistently is consistently refueling, whether it's their camelbacks, whether it's their canteens, whether it's goos, gels, whether it's some sort of food that they're taking in on course. They need to consistently do that if they're going to be successful, not only here in the short term, but they're going to be successful long term in the competition. They've got to take care of themselves, and more importantly, they have to take care of their Ranger buddy to their left and their right, and make sure that they're really staying on top of their nutrition, especially early. Here this morning, it was below 50 degrees at the start. It has since climbed a little bit. We are about 52, 53 degrees right now, and then we will continue to climb throughout the day. We're going to get about to 70, 80 degrees here throughout the day, and so right now, teams have to hydrate for that preparation later on in the day. If you're not hydrating, if you're not fueling, if you're not feeding right now, teams will fall behind, and they will suffer later for that. So they've got to make decisions right now about how many calories do I take in, how much liquid do I take in, do we push right now or do we hold what we got right now? As the competition kind of spaces out, you see teams make decisions of, we're not going to go chase that team way up there. We're going to kind of manage our position right here, manage our efforts so that we can be successful long term. When you're talking about a 3-day competition, ladies and gentlemen, we're only about 2 hours and 41 minutes into the competition right now. So we've got a long way to go, a lot of rangering yet to come, and we're going to continue rocking and rolling out here all day long to bring you what we hope is some world-class coverage of the 42nd annual Best Ranger competition. I want to give a quick shout out to the National Ranger Association and Trenton Petty, the director, who did an outstanding job putting a lot of the backside together for this competition. And I also want to give a huge shout out to the instructors and the cadre here at the Ranger Training Brigade, putting on again a world-class event where we get to bring the whole Army in and watch them compete for the title of the Best Ranger competition. It is really a special weekend, and we are looking forward to all the things to come, but it could not be possible without the cadre out here rocking and rolling constantly, making sure Ranger is safe out on course, designing something that is world-class, and then ensuring that thing is sustainable over time. We've got cadre running all over the place right now, making sure that events are being graded to standard, that throughout the week competitors received a brief at each range, that they understood the safety requirements and restraints at each range, that they understood what they were allowed to do and not allowed to do at each one of their ranges and stations, and throughout that now we are going to see, how did they digest that information throughout the week, how did they package it as a team, and then how are they going to apply it to the competition we've got, moving forward. We are now, local time is about 8:17. I'm going to just get this moving so that if you guys have any questions throughout the day, you can drop any question you've got in the chat, and we can cover any questions you possibly could have. Again, we are here at the finish line of the water can event. As they finish this event, they are going to continue to transition out to what we call Ranger Reckoning. Ranger Reckoning is going to be an all-day event, about 13 events that Rangers can go choose what they want to go do. So they can go to whatever range they want to go to. They want to go to shooting range first, they can do that. They want to go to an obstacle course, they can go do that. But they need to complete as many events as possible because, again, every event is worth 40 points today. So the top team will be awarded 40 points. The last place team at an event will be awarded 1 point. And the goal of the competition is to accumulate as many points as possible. What I think is super interesting about this competition, and we should note, is like a normal endurance competition, you just get to sit in a steady state pocket. You get to start easy, you get to continue easy, and you just continue movement throughout the day. This competition is not like that. You have to start easy, and then you have to get to these events, and you have to be willing to go extremely hard and get into a very high level of intensity in order to then score points, and then you have to come back into a pocket that's sustainable, but fast enough to get to that next event, to get to that next thing you got to do, and then continue movement from there. So it is really a test of will and skill out here today, and we will see both of those things tested. The soldiers' will to continue fighting, to continue moving on, to continue conquering these objectives, and the skill in order to do it efficiently, effectively, and well. So we've got those two things really coming up and going on right now. So we are going to just continue to wait. Again, we got two teams through the opening sequence right now, and we will wait now to see more teams come through that opening sequence. There will only be 40 teams advancing through this opening sequence. Again, we started with 61 teams. 40 teams are advancing through this opening sequence. Once they advance through this opening sequence, they will go out onto the ranges at Fort Benning, Georgia, conduct a bunch of ranges for the day, and then continue movement throughout the day, and we will just continue to watch from there. As scores come in, we're going to be posting them right here on this live stream in the corner of the chat so you guys can see them. We expect first scores to start being published, and then we will start getting updates throughout the day about every 30 minutes to an hour as the competition's going on, and then we'll post them right here so you guys can check out, hey, how have they moved? Now, I'm going to warn you, right away in day one, we're going to see significant movement back and forth from all of these movers. We're going to see teams that have done 3 or 4 or 5 ranges very quickly shoot up and then maybe taper off throughout the day. Or we're going to see teams steadily increasing their lead or steadily increasing their position as they come up with a good strategy and a good concept in order to try and complete all the events to the best of their ability. As they do that, we'll continue to see that movement on the board. We'll continue to bring you some commentary about what that means for the competition long term, about how teams think about these things, both like at the start and throughout the competition itself, and then how they begin to manage their effort, their time. They've got some decisions to make. They have a no later than time to be here this evening. So obviously it gets to a point when you're out at all these ranges around Fort Benning that you have to make a decision of, hey, we've got to head back to our holding spot. Now, the last event of the day is here on Camp Rogers. It's right where we are right now. It is going to be here at the Malvesti obstacle course. Teams are going to come in from the day of Ranger Reckoning. They're going to do something called the Bayonet Assault course on the backside, and then they're going to run the Malvesti obstacle course. This obstacle has a rope climb, a vertical ladder. It's got monkey bars on it, and then it's got a mud pit, and it finishes with 6 more chin-ups. Then they got to run back to the pit from which they started this morning, and that is day one, part 1 iteration, but it does not stop there. They are going to go from day 1, part 1 into night 1. And night 1 begins with the infamous road march. The road march this year is going to be 15 miles, and it is going to be absolutely brutal. That road march to competitors, especially at night, especially after moving about 35 miles during the day, is really a reckoning moment for a lot of teams, and we will bring you as they compete through it. It is something you really want to watch because it will test the will and the resolve of every team out here, regardless of how fit they are. You cannot fake that level of fitness that is required in order to be successful, both out here and then on the night. Really a tall task, a tall order for a lot of these teams to get through. Again, we are here at the 42nd annual David E. Grange Best Ranger Competition at Fort Benning, Georgia. We are at the finish line for the water can event. The finish line for the water can event will transition into Ranger Reckoning, and we are here. We've only had 2 teams cross. We are now 2 hours and 48 minutes into the competition, and we are continuing to wait to see who will be the third team to cross and then get to start the day one Ranger reckoning sequence. And what we're experiencing now is, if there are only 2 teams that have made it after 2 hours and 48 minutes of the first event, you have to understand that for most teams, this is going to be a 3-hour plus long event to get through. 40 teams through here in order to see who will move on. But those top 40 teams, some of those teams that are from 30th to 40th place, they may not make it through here until about the 3.5 or 4 hour mark, given how we're moving right now. Now, generally in the competition, there is a front end that moves very quick, and then we're going to see more and more bodies as it continues to move, and more teams kind of cluster up and move through here together. I see Team 55 just hit the turnaround again. Their cans must be close, so I think Team 55 may be the next one, but we will see at which team crosses here through here next for their movement out into Ranger Reckoning. Ranger Reckoning, they have to carry their pack with them all day. So you're looking at like a 30 to 40 pound rucksack packed with the equipment that you think you need for the weekend. Here we go.
Third team crossing the finishing line, and it is Team 55, representing the United States Army Special Operations.
There we go. Team 55. Team 55 has crossed the finish line of the water can event. They are the third team to come through the water can event. There you see them moving towards towards the pit here at Camp Rogers. They will grab their rucksacks, and then they will continue movement out into the day. They are going to grab their rucks. They're going to start, again, what we call Ranger Reckoning. Ranger Reckoning is about 13 different events spread out across Fort Benning. They can decide wherever they do how many events they want to get done. But again, this is a point-based competition. So they need to be able to compete and complete as many events as they can to accrue those points. And teams that take risks more events will find themselves in a better standing at the end, just by the function of more teams or more points in more events is a better outcome. Again, we've had 3 teams cross the start line here. We've had an 75th Ranger Regiment team, a team from the Airborne Ranger Training Brigade, and 1 team from USASOC. That was Team 55. We'll continue to try and get you those teams as they cross here and announce them over the live stream. Again, we are at the 2 hour and 51 minute mark right now. So we've only had 3 teams finish the first event in 2 hours and 51 minutes. If you just think of this for a moment of a good marathon hours, we have teams who have only completed 1 event, and we are 3 hours into this competition right now. That should tell you something about the level of difficulty of this competition and just how hard this competition is physically, mentally. This was just what they call the buy-in. Here we go. We got the 4th place team for the water cans. That's Team 16. They are from the 11th Airborne Division, I believe. They are going to move on through here and move on out, grab their ruck. They will then begin Ranger Reckoning as well. They're running over to a tent on the far side where they receive a map. And that map is going to let them know where the events are for day 1. They will have to follow that map to whatever events they want to go complete and compete in. Again, there are about 15 events. There may be time for teams to complete all events. There may not be time for teams to complete all events. They get their bearings, they make a plan, and then they begin to move out after they've got a good solid plan and an understanding of what's coming next. Now we have 3 teams currently in the pit right now. So there are 3 teams in the pit. There have been 3 finishers of the water can. I'm not sure if they are holding them until the end of this event and we've got 40 teams in the pit, or if they're going to let them go, but we will let you know that as it happens. Again, I'm not sure if you can see those 3 teams over there on the side of the pit. We'll try to get the camera on them a little bit. But we've got 3 teams that are really setting their equipment right now. So they've just finished, again, a 3-hour event. That's just event number 1. They are now getting their equipment set. They are going to open up their maps, understand their plan, understand their route, understand where they have to go, what they have to do, where they have to be, and then they will eventually get a command or allowed to move out of the pit. We have 3 teams in the pit. No team has left the pit yet. But when they do, they will leave and they will go conduct Ranger Reckoning. 3 teams in 3 hours have finished event number 1. Again, those teams are from the Airborne Ranger Training Brigade, the 75th Ranger Regiment, and USASOC if you're watching from home. And we will continue to try and update you as we get more and more teams here at the finish line. We now have 4 teams in the pit total. We've got 75th Ranger Regiment, ARTB, USASOC, and 11th Airborne Division. There have been 4 teams that have completed event number 1. Event number 1 has taken just about 3 hours, and it looks like we are very close to getting our 5th team. That looks like it's going to be team number 51. Team number 51 appears to be our next team in. Let's take a look. Team number 51 is from the 75th Ranger Regiment as well. That is Captain Josiah Tritle and Specialist Diego Martinez.
Team 51.
There we go. Team 51 has officially crossed the line of the water can event. They have completed event number 1 and are moving towards the pit. So now we have 5 finishing teams for event number 1. We have 5 finishing teams for event number 1. Again, that is team number 51 of the 75th Ranger Regiment just completing event number 1. We now have 2 teams from the 75th, 1 team from Airborne Ranger Training Brigade, 1 team from USASOC, and 1 team from the 11th Airborne Division currently in the pit getting ready to go to Ranger Reckoning. If you are just joining us today, Ranger Reckoning is the next stage of this competition. So we are just completing event number 1. It's taking about 3 hours. Once we get 40 teams here, Ranger Reckoning will start. Ranger Reckoning is comprised of several events. Several events that are going to carry Rangers across Fort Benning. We're talking 13 events from ranges to obstacle courses to their competence with a radio to their competence with first aid and medical care. We're going to carry them across Fort Benning, and they can decide in what order, in what fashion they want to complete those events. Every event, the winner is for the day. Once that for the day, they will continue to tally up scores live, and we will bring you those scores here on this YouTube channel for you to see. We will also have a split screen thing going today. So we're going to have several different live streams going. We're going to have a live stream here at what we call the patrol base. We're going to have a live stream being pushed out to the ranges at the same time. So you will be able to see cameras from moving around at different range sites to us if you want to have some commentary. We'll have some people come up here in a little bit and chat about the competition, go over the competition. We now have Team 50. We now have Team 50 across the line, so that would be our 6th place team through this event. Captain Peters and Smith across the line. That is Team 50 has finished the water can event. They are now moving into the pit where, again, they will get their map for the day. They will be able to reset a little bit for the day, and then they will have to move out again into the next portion of this event, which is the Ranger Reckoning event. Again, now we have 3 teams from the 75th Ranger Regiment in the pit, a team from USASOC in the pit, a team from the 11th Airborne Division in the pit, and a team from the Airborne Ranger Training Brigade in the pit. We've got 6 finishers so far for event number 1, and event number 1 has taken us about 2 hours and 56 minutes. I see the great Captain Greg Kaufman out there, our Special Projects Officer for the weekend. He's rolling around here. What a fantastic American. Fantastic American. Again, we are here, 42nd Annual Ranger Competition. We are waiting at the finish line of the water can event. The water can event is really just the final event of event number 1. Event number 1 has really been 3 events. It has been an unknown distance run into a sandbag carry, a run, swim, run event, and then a water can carry for about 1.5 miles. Every time they drop the water cans, though, they have to move back to the start line before they can continue again. So it was really a large physical ask this morning of competitors. And again, when you think about like a good marathon time is 3 hours and sleep the rest of the day, get to refuel, get to hang out with their family, not here. They've completed a 3-hour event, and we have our first leaving the pit right now. This team, from the 75th Ranger Regiment has completed the first event. They have finally packed up their gear. They have situated the way they want, maybe changed out their boots, maybe gotten into some dry socks, whatever they need to do. They've done it, and now they are moving along. They're moving out, and they're going to go into the Ranger Reckoning sequence of the day. Ranger Reckoning, again, about 23 events spread across the day, all across Fort Benning. They can go knock out those events in any order. They don't have to complete everything, but The more events you complete, the better your chances are of winning, because for every event you can win, you can gain 40 points. Here we got the next team across the line. It is Team 21. Team 21 has came across the line. They are from the 25th Infantry Division. First Lieutenant Peterson and First Lieutenant Monroe for the 25th Division have crossed the line and are continuing to move along. They will now enter the pit, get their gear set up, and then they will move out and onwards as this competition continues. If you are just joining us today, we are here at the 42nd Annual Best Ranger Competition. This competition will test a ranger's technical, tactical, physical, and cognitive competence at all times. They will have to complete over this weekend 3 days. Now, we started with 61 teams. Here after this first event, we are going to cut to... Once we cut to 40 teams, it doesn't stop there. We will continue to cut down until we get to the final 16 teams. Only 16, 1-6, will finish this competition out of the 60 that started this competition. Excuse me. We have several great sponsors. One of those sponsors is First Form Energy. And we're going to need a lot of energy throughout this weekend. We're going to keep the energy level high here. Again, if you guys have any questions at any point, you have a competitor that's out there, you need information about that competitor, please let us know. We will try to get you whatever information you need in order to be successful. Do I need those now? There. That way I do a quick battery swap. We're using some tech out here in the Georgia heat. We're going to have to change some batteries pretty consistently. Again, out on the course today, we also have some live cameras going. Those live cameras are run by Jay Brem, legend of the competition. He's competed 3 times. He's covered this competition for about 5 years. He's coached. All in all, he has about 13, 14 years of experience when we talk about the Best Ranger competition. And then we also have out here with us Blaine. In 1993, he is a winner of the competition and a student of the competition. Comes back every single year. He will be one of our live cameras out at the ranges as Rangers get out that way. Rangers have not made it to the ranges yet. They are just leaving now for Ranger Reckoning, so you can expect to get to the range for another 30 or 40 minutes, and that's just the first range of the day. As Rangers continue to finish here, we'll let you know who finishes. We've got Team 30 crossing the line right now. That's Team 30 from 5th Corps, First Lieutenant Mark Nyland and First Lieutenant Christopher Brayman of 5th Corps coming across the line. Any info on Team 29 from the 101st? No info yet from Team 29 of the 101st. We have not seen a 101st team finish. 5th Corps team. We've got a team from USASI, 3 teams from the 75th Ranger Regiment, a team from the 11th Airborne Division finished the event so far, and those teams are now going to move on, and that is from the pit right here, and it is going to move them out into the greater Fort Benning area, where they are going to have to complete about 13 ranges, obstacle courses, radio competency events throughout the day, and they are going to be tested in their tactical, technical, physical, and cognitive abilities at each one of those events. Each one of those events 40-1. So if you're the top team, you get 40 points. If you're the bottom team, you get 1 point. Teams can decide which ranges they want to go to, in which order, bypass an event. So if they don't want to complete an event, or they cannot get to an event in time, they can bypass it. They can continue movement and then continue mission. However, the team with the most points at the end of the Best Ranger competition wins the competition. So ideally, while you're fresh, get some of these events knocked out, especially while the temperature is kind of still cool here. We had this morning a temperature of about 45, 46 degrees. That's why this live stream didn't work. I apologize for us. We had some. However, it is going to get up to about 80 throughout the day, about 15 miles and some of the black powder shooting they're doing. But it's going to be hot, so teams need to make decisions early and often about how they're going to take care of their bodies. Team 56, we have not seen Team 56 come across the line yet from the first event. Right now, 56 crosses the line, we will let you know, and we will continue to update right here as the event. You will see that we have multiple live streams going throughout the day. We will have this live stream going throughout the day. We will have live streams out at the ranges going throughout the day. Here we another team coming in right now. We've got Team 43 coming across the line from the Maneuver Center of Excellence, so that a captain, a first lieutenant coming across the line, you can see how tired they already are after a 3-hour-long event, and it does not stop here. They're going to take some time to refit, to get some water, to get some fluids, to get some hydration, to get some calories back in themselves, and then they're going to have to move out. Again, the normal person runs a 3-hour marathon, finishes it, gets to eat, go nap, go to sleep. Not here at the Best Ranger competition. They're going to finish what is the equivalent of a marathon this morning. It's 16 miles, but with all the heavy carries, with all the equipment, they are really putting their body through it, and then they're going to be asked to do more. We're going to do a quick audio switch right here off a battery-powered mic, and we're going to go cable so that we can give you some more sustainable audio, but we will be right back.
Representing the 101st Airborne
deal. I'm sure it'll sound fine. I'll let you know like how to adjust. But
Do a quick audio check right here. All right. Doing a quick audio check. We just switched out mics. Sorry about that. We want to make sure we can give you some sustainable audio out here, and we don't want to have to choose through our battery packs quite yet. So as we go remote, we'll probably use those wireless mics. But right now, we'll just use a handheld, bringing some good coverage. We did have another team finish. I believe it was Team 27 just came across the line. We now have about 8-9 teams in the pit. Again, they are preparing their equipment to move out. You have teams that are really setting conditions right now. They're getting out their camelbacks. They're drinking water. They are consuming some calories. They are route planning, and they're planning a really method of attack for the rest of the weekend. And really, it starts right now. You cannot underestimate the power of day one. The competition has truly been won and lost in this first event. We started this morning with 61 teams. We're going to cut down this morning to 40 teams after this event. And again, we only have about 7 or 8 of those teams in the pit right now, so still a ton of teams that are out there well beyond the 3-hour.
Team 19.
There we go. We have Team 19 across the line from the 25th Infantry Division. That is Staff Sergeant Benjamin Indringa and Sergeant Gabriel Gomez just crossed the line. So again, that is the first 25th ID team we've seen cross the line. That is Team 19. If you're watching on the live stream, they have just completed the event. We've got about 9 guys now, or 9 teams in the pit. These Rangers will now plan their day. They are receiving a map from the Ranger Training Brigade, and then they are going to go out onto Ranger Reckoning. They are going to find these ranges, and they are going to have to complete these events. Now, most of these Rangers are not unfamiliar with Fort Benning. So, although they're handed a map, they know this terrain pretty well. They've been out here before. If you've been out here for IBOLC, or you've been out here for some sort of course, or for Ranger School itself, you get to know Fort Benning pretty well, pretty intimately. So a lot of these guys, as they're handed this map, it's really just a map of their home. And they're going to go traverse this terrain pretty quickly, get out to these ranges, execute them violently, and you're going to see a lot of cool things happen today. We're going to be pushing this a few ways today. Team 43, any info on Team 45? Let's check real quick who Team 45 is. We have not seen Team 45 come through yet, but we will let you know as teams complete. We have another team across the line right now. Team 36 from the Old Guard has completed the first event, so we've got about 9 teams across the line right now. That is from the Old Guard. Captain Rob, Captain Howell, from the Old Guard, completing the first event. That is Team 36 now moving to the pit. Again, they will get to plan their day. They will get to decide what they do next, how they move, but they will also get time to reset themselves a little bit, to drink some water, to eat some food, consume some calories, take care of one another, and make sure that they're ready for a sustainable day out there at the Best Ranger competition.
Applause. We got a big group of them here. Let's give them a round of applause, everybody. Push them through.
Teams are continuing to move through the finish line. So again, if you're just joining us, we are at the water can event right now. The water can event is a 3/4 of a mile movement out, 3/4 of a mile movement back for 1.5 miles. You're carrying, each competitor is carrying 2 45-pound water cans. Those water cans, every time they drop them, they have to move back to the start line and then go back to their cans before they can start moving again. So some of these teams, it will take them about 6, 7, 8 miles to complete this event. The top team today, it looked like maybe they carried their cans a total of 5 or 6 times, which is pretty remarkable. If you want to go work out, try to carry 2 45-pound dumbbells for 1.5 miles. Oh, and then after that, go complete all these events throughout the rest of the day. It's just the buy-in we're getting through right now, and we are going to go from the buy-in into the pit, and Rangers are going to start planning their Ranger Reckoning. Team 59, USMA, we have not seen Team 59 from USMA cross the line yet, but again, we will bring you right here. As teams cross the line, we will announce their numbers. We will let you know as they move out. We have another team leaving the pit right now. It looks like the second team has finally left the pit. That is, the USASOC team is now the second team to have left the pit this morning. They're going to start moving out. You're not going to see teams leave the pit super fast here in the initial movement because it's just about starting to cover space and time. They have several hours throughout the day to complete all these ranges, and so really you want to kind of mark yourself early and take care of yourself early, and then as you recover from what this 16-mile buy-in event did to you, then you can start moving throughout the day. You can start covering events. Last year under this Ranger Reckoning format was the first year this format was utilized. And this format allows teams to really make decisions about where you're going to go, what you're going to do, and what points or what events you want to seek. Because all events are currently worth a weight of 1 on day 1, what you're going to see is teams can make decisions about what they're best at and go do that. They don't have to worry about a range being weighted a 5 or a 6 of a super high weight and make it more important and have to go there. They can really choose to, hey, I know this is a strength, and so I'm going to go there and I'm going to exploit my strength. And maybe I avoid my weaknesses today. Last year in this format, there was no team that completed every event. The top teams were still choosing not to go to 2 or 3 events, whether that's because of the distance they would have to cover to get there or because of they were running out of time and had to get back to this location. But teams have to make a decision pretty early about, do I go there? What do I do? How do I execute throughout the day? And as I execute throughout the day, I have to continuously update my understanding of the competition and then continue to make strong decisions. It is going to get hot today. So teams that are moving out of this pit early have a huge advantage on the rest of the field as they continue to move out because they will get to cover some of this ground early while the temperature is still not super high. But later in the day, when it gets to 80, 85 degrees, you are going to see teams starting to slow their movement, being forced to slow their movement just by Mother Nature. And that is just part of the game we are playing out here. We are now 3 hours and 12 minutes into the competition. We have had about 9 teams finish the first event. The first event is called the buy-in. It is really comprised of 3 events: a unknown distance run into a sandbag carry, then they ran down to Victory Pond, swam in Victory Pond in the night, ran back here, and then they ran with their water cans about 1.5 miles, but every time they dropped them, they had to run back to the start.
They have a total of 13 events, and they're going to choose which events they want to do first, whether it's drone defeat, mortar, sniper, heavy MG, established comms, different events. They're going to strategically choose these. It's not a railroad one than another than another, and all the teams do them in one after in succession. So it's very strategic, and the sooner these teams are able to cross and get on their way, the better. But again, as our teams are coming up, So you in the turnaround, let's make sure you show them the support.
Hey Vince, give me
And big cheers if they have those canisters in their hands and they're finishing up.
actually you can continue.
So we just had the announcer here on ground explaining to the crowd what is going to happen here for the Ranger Reckoning and what we are moving in to for the rest of the day, and what people can really expect. It cannot be understated how hard this day can get for teams, and everyone comes to the competition super fit. We are talking about the top 1% of the top 1% of the top 1% of this fighting force, but they're going to be asked to continue pushing out here, to continue to rock and roll, to continue to make decisions, to continue to try and do some of these incredibly hard events in order to be successful. And that is really the nature of the competition out here. So again, we've got about 9 teams that have completed Event 1. We will only have 40 teams move on from Event 1. So 61 teams started, only 40 teams moving on from Event 1. 21 teams are going home after this first event. And so the teams that are out there, really see it right now, they are pushing hard to try and finish this event, to try and get it done, and then to try and continue on into day 1. But again, only 40 teams will move from this event onward into the rest of day 1. No, it says no signal on here. We are working on the video signal right now. We're just doing a quick change up to make sure we can bring you better coverage throughout the day. If you can still hear me, you can let me know in the chat. We have another team crossing the line. We have Team 59. Team 59 has crossed the line. That is from USMA, Major Matthews, Major Danner. They have crossed the line. Team 59 from the U.S. Military Academy, West Point, has crossed the line. Those are 2 majors. The old bones out here moving, still showing the young bucks that they've got what it takes in order to be successful. We have 13 teams that have entered the pit to prepare for the Ranger Reckoning. 13 teams are coming into the pit right now and then moving onward. So in the pit, what you can expect, they're going to get a map. That map has every event on it that they can complete in day 1. They will then go to their ruck. They will set their equipment as they want it for the day. They will take on some fluid. They will take on some calories, and then they're going to move out. They're going to move out across Fort Benning. They're going to complete about 13 events throughout the day, and those events range from static shooting ranges to maneuver buddy live fire ranges where both competitors are moving, to 3-gun style shoots, to obstacle courses, to radio familiarization, to Ranger first responder or medical lanes in order to test their acumen there. We're really testing Rangers across 4 different domains: their physical, their tactical, their technical, and then their cognitive ability. However, every event has a physical component, so it cannot be understated that these Rangers that are just finishing a 3-hour-long event have a lot of physical events to go, not only today, but into tonight, into tomorrow, and into Sunday. This competition is nearly continuous, and these Rangers will move about 80 miles throughout that time in order to complete events across Fort Benning. Today, what you can expect, some of the highlight events, we've got 3-gun going on at Krilling. That range is going to include several outstanding weapon systems, to include a long gun shoot at the end. There's a long gun only range today, shooting out to about 1 kilometer on a brand new weapon system. They are going to do with like flintlock pistols and muskets. It's really unique to the competition, but really taking us back to the heritage of Rogers Rangers way back in the day. They will have an obstacle course and a Prusik climb to conduct today, really going back to the mountain roots of the Ranger spirit, and being able to navigate and tackle any type of terrain anywhere in the world. And then they will have a radio event that is a high-frequency radio shot that they have to get out in order to be successful. They will have a medical lane that will be highly important for them to complete. And then they're going to come back here, and that is just day 1. Then they're going to move on to what is going to become the night road march. The night road march is going to be a brutal encounter. It is an unknown distance road march to the competitor, where they will be asked to move an unknown distance with weight, with equipment, with all their stuff and their buddy, to an unknown location. At that location, they're going to do what we call night stakes. Night stakes is a series of events at night. So you're doing them under your nods, your night vision goggles. You are doing weapons box. There are some very unique events out there this year, like vehicle ID, reptile ID, but there are also some medical lanes out there at night and some weapons capabilities. We've got a team coming across right here. You can see them with their ruck. They're going to move out for Day 1 Ranger Reckoning. It looks like that is our team from MCOE moving out. Their number sign is on their opposite shoulder, so I cannot see it right now, but we've got a team from MCOE, Maneuver Center of Excellence, so 2 captains moving out right now. Good. You'll see this often. There's usually one partner throughout this weekend. One partner is feeling good. One partner needs a little boost, and they're always helping each other out.
Our first teams from the 75th Ranger Regiment, between the initial run, the swim, and the distance they ran for the long haul, they did 14 miles already, and that's one of the lead teams. So just an idea of how many miles they've already put in today in the first 3 hours and 20 minutes.
So the announcer here on ground just announced that the top Ranger Regiment team that came across the line covered just over 14 miles in the first 3 events. And that's the top team. With the way this water can event is managed, every time you drop the can, you got to come back to the start line, then run back to your cans. So some teams will cover much more distance than that.
Team 42.
All right. Team 42 Transformation and Training Command.
Sergeant Smith.
Team 42 has crossed the line here at Event 1. For those of you asking what places 27 and 26, places will be assigned as points come in. Points are only graded after this first event. Then we will start getting live score updating as events and ranges are conducted. They will send us those results. Those results we will post into our video so you can see them in the bottom right-hand corner. But we don't expect the first round of actual scoring to occur until Event 1 is done and we cut down to 40 teams. We started this morning with 61 teams. After this water can event is done, we will move down to 40 teams. If you're watching from home and you have a question or you got a ranger competing, please let us know in the chat. For a lot of the placement information, we are going to have to wait till points are assigned and places actually come out. But again, once they go out to the ranges, they're going to start sending us that information live. So, important to note there, although you'll see a lot of movement today, we won't really know how teams stack up until the end of day 1, because one team could go and get 3 ranges pretty quickly knocked out, or a team could decide to first move very far away and then knock out a range at a very remote location. Depending on what they decide and how they decide to split that up or cut it, that's really going to determine how many points you see on the board early. So expect a lot of movement today between teams, especially in the top 20, top 28 positions as they complete these different events in different speeds or quantities. You'll see some teams that will knock out 3 events right away, but then they have to conduct a very long movement. So maybe they won't score again for 2 or 3 hours as they conduct that movement across Fort Benning. And so we've got to keep an eye on it, but also know that those scores are going to move a lot today, and you're going to see your competitor at home move across that scoreboard pretty quickly. But don't get worried right away. Just know that at the end of day 1, we'll see where the dust settles, and then we can start making some calls on, hey, who really effectively worked through day 1, and what teams need to really have a good night stakes to keep their chances alive. Again, we are starting with 61 teams. Here after event 1, we'll go down to 40. After day 1 is complete, including the night iteration, we're going to cut down to about 36. There's another cut to 28, and then the final cut into day 3 is going to be down to 16. So by the end of this, we are only going to have 16 teams that finish the Best Ranger competition, and it is important to remember that just finishing this absolutely grueling competition is such an accomplishment. You are talking about the top 1% of the 1% of the 1%, physically, tactically, technically, and cognitively coming out here to the Best Ranger competition and putting it out on the line, and then stacking up against all the other guys from all the other units, all the other Rangers from all the other units that are highly successful, highly trained out here. And so just finishing this thing, just being in the top 16 is really something to hang your hat on. And also to all the teams that came out here, put their hat in the ring to said, like, yes, I want to go do something remarkably difficult. I want to go do something that is extremely challenging, that has a ton of risk, that is going to chew up a ton of time at home. You know, props to them. And if you're watching from home and you're a family member that supported them through the train up, like, we know what you had to sacrifice in order for your Ranger to be even out here today, to conduct the train up, to pour that much time, effort, and emphasis into something is something that takes time away from families. So for you families watching from home, thank you too for supporting your Ranger out here. I know it means a ton to them, but it's also, you know, what the community's really built on. We've got another team moving out right now into Ranger reckoning, so they left the pit. Again, the numbers are on the opposite shoulders, unfortunately, so I could not see the team number from here, but that team is now moving onward and outward to the rest of the ranges today. All right, we've got someone watching from Berlin, Germany. Guten Morgen oder Guten Tag. Sun Team 58 today. That is fantastic. We will let you know when we see Team 58 come across the line, and we will announce that here. Again, we've only had about 11 teams finish Event 1, so we are still waiting for 29 teams to finish here so that we can cut down to our top 40 teams and then continue on with Ranger Reckoning. We are now 3 hours and 24 minutes in, which means the 40th team to cross this line, it probably won't happen until after the 4-hour mark. Now, put that in perspective. A good marathon time is 3 hours. A marathon time of 4 hours is still, you know, respectable. Then these guys are going to be asked to do many more actions across the board throughout the day. So their day is not going to end after 3 or 4 hours. They then go into about an 8-9 hour long iteration across Fort Benning, where they're forced to move from here to just about every range across the backside of Fort Benning, conduct 13 different events, and then be back here by a no later than time of about 6 p.m. And we'll keep you updated through all of it. Again, if you've got a competitor you're looking out for, please let us know, but we'll announce them as they come across this point. And then as we get final standings for this first event, we will announce them here live on this live stream. We've got a few live streams going on this year. We'll have this location just for commentary to let you know how teams are doing, to kind of bring some VIPs in, some past competitors in, talk the competition. And then we've got live streams on the ground with some cameras moving around with some of our guys that are covering the close-up action of the teams. We're going to move out here in a little bit to the ranges and show you some of the action at the ranges, which is always exciting, always fun. And then we'll also have this here. So if you go to the Best Ranger Competition YouTube, which you're at right now, you go to the live section. You can choose between those live streams of what you want to watch or maybe where your competitor is. There's a site, blackohm.com. They are tracking where your ranger is right now. So you can go to that website, and then you can see where your competitor actually is in physical space compared to everybody else. And you can kind of track them throughout the day. And if we're at the range that your ranger is at, let us know, and we can make sure, you know, to let you know, to push a camera and go watch them. But we have some cameras lined up to go see, like the live fire, the buddy team live fire, some of the maneuver events that are a little more exciting to watch, and you'll definitely want to watch those if you're following along at home, someone that you know and love. It's very, very cool to see. So again, we are waiting for about our 12th place team here at the first event. We are at the 3 hour and 26 mark into the Best Ranger competition, and we are going to continue cooking along until we get 40 teams across this line, and that is the teams that are going to move on into Day 1 Ranger Reckoning. The temperature here in Fort Benning is starting to rise a little bit. Obviously, the sun's getting up in the sky just a hair. As that temperature rises, teams are going to have to make some decisions about how much they drink, when they drink, what kind of fuel they're consuming. Something new about the competition this year is that teams are allowed to bring in their own hydration and their own fueling. So they are allowed to pack their own goos, gels, foods, lickies and chewies, whatever really they wanted to bring into the competition, they can. What this means is that teams really have to be careful about taking care of themselves early and really trying to dial in their nutrition, their hydration, their fueling sources, and whatever they're going to actually need to be successful.
All right, we have another team crossing.
Here we go.
That is Team
We have Team 32.
Sergeant Booth.
Team 32. Team 32 of 5th Corps crossing the line for event number 1. Again, we've got about 13 teams complete with event number 1 right now. And we are continuing to move along. So 13 teams done with event 1, but it has been 3 hours, 28 minutes, and 22 seconds since we started this event. And we still only have 13 or 14 teams across event number 1. That is pretty remarkable when you think about the level of difficulty. They have just completed 3 hours and 28 minutes of movement. They have an entire day still to go. So they will move into the pit, they will collect their equipment, they will grab their rucksacks, and then they will be forced to move out along Fort Benning, go to all these ranges, conduct foot movement throughout the day, and they will continue to try and complete as many events as they can. Events are all scored, so there are about 13 events on day 1 here today. If you are the first place team, you will receive 40 points. If you are the last place team, you will receive 1 point. And that is how it will be scored throughout the day today. And then all those scores are combined. So the top team at the end of the day is the team that has the most points. And just because you're the top team on day 1 doesn't mean you'll be the top team on day 3. This year, there are 1,000 available points on day 1. There are about 750 available points on day 2, and there are about 960 available points on day 3. So although day 1 is highly important, they have re-levered the weighting of the scoring this year so that teams can still win this competition in day 3, and you can definitely still lose this competition in day 3. We have Team 47 approaching the finish line right now. Team 47 is approaching the finish line right now.
Airborne and Ranger Training Brigade. First Lieutenant Jones.
Airborne Ranger Training Brigade officially across. That is team number 16 across, or that is the 16th team across event number 1. That is team number 47 of the Airborne Ranger Training Brigade. If you're watching from home, again, team 47 is going now into the pit. When they enter the pit, they're going to have to make a decision about what do I fuel, what do I want to eat. I've got to reset, I've got to set my equipment, I've got to, maybe I put on dry boots or dry socks, but I've got to make a decision pretty quick about receiving my map, creating a route, and then moving out. Especially as teams finish this later and later on, they're going to want to get out of that pit quick because the temperature is only going to rise, and you want to conduct as much movement as you can while the temperature is still cool. Thank you so much, Katie, for the Got On Military app suggestion here in the comments. If you're looking for that black ohm tracking device, she's just dropped you some instructions into the comments of this live stream of where you can find that. I just ask that people continue to help each other out in the comments. We've got a lot of families that can't be down here at Fort Benning for this weekend that want to see where their competitor is. Please continue to pass that information along so people can track this event. Please send them, the live streams of Jay, Blaine, this live stream if anybody wants to see or hear the competition. And then if you guys have any questions to put in the chat, please just drop them and we'll try to get around them right now. We've got a team finishing right now. Team 25. Team 25 is finishing right now. Let's pull up Team 25. That is of the 82nd Airborne Division. Team 25, 82nd Airborne Division, First Lieutenant Chase Harkins and Sergeant William Sottrell. They are the 17th team to cross event number 1. We only have 17 teams across event number 1 in 3 hours and 32 minutes. 3 hours and 32 minutes into the comp, only 17 teams have finished event 1 in 3.5 hours. You have people that go out and race a marathon. 3.5 hours later, they get to go eat, they get to go sleep, they get to go enjoy the rest of the day. These Rangers are just buying into this competition. This is the entry fee to be allowed to compete for the remainder of the day. So these guys are now going to go into the pit. They're going to grab their equipment. They're going to set their equipment in the manner they need it. And then they're going to move out. They receive a map that has the events for the day, and they can choose between those 13 events. What event am I going to go do? What event am I going to bypass? Which events have the most opportunity for my strengths to really shine, and where can I be successful? And then they're going to go there, they're going to execute, and then they're going to continue to move on and outward throughout the day. Again, we have about 17 teams across. We've got competitors just hitting the turnaround right now. We've got competitors getting back to the start that have to go back out again. We are 3 hours and 33 minutes into event number 1, and we are here at the 42nd annual David E. Grange Best Ranger Competition, where this weekend we will find out who will be crowned the Army's Best Ranger. This is a two-man team. A two-man team that is competing together as a buddy team, as a fire team, to get through these events and to be successful on day 1. They're going to have to use each other's strengths. They're going to have to take care of one another. They're going to have to understand how they move and handle the heat, and then they will continue to move on throughout day 1. We are here at the finish of the first event. The first event is the buy-in event. The buy-in event is built out of 3 separate events. Those 3 separate events were a unknown distance run into a sandbag carry. It was a movement down to Victory Pond and a swim in the dark that was incredibly cool. If you want to go see it, down on our live channel is the previous live streams. You can watch the Rangers entering Victory Pond if you didn't catch that earlier. And then they did this water can carry event. The water can carry event is a 1.5 mile course where you carry 2 water cans each that are about 40-45 pounds filled with water, but every time you drop them, you got to run back to the start. You run back to the start, then you run back to your cans. You grab your cans and you go. The best teams are completing this in about 4 miles of movement, but this buy-in event in total for the top team was 14 miles, which means the more you drop these cans, the longer the distances of that total event. So there are teams out here that will spend 17, 18, 19 miles of movement just to buy into the Best Ranger competition. Again, we started with 61 teams. We're going to cut down to 40 teams here after event 1, and we'll see those standings as they start to populate here shortly. We are at the water can event, waiting for teams to finish. We've had 17 teams cross that finish line of the buy-in event, which means we are still waiting for 23 teams to cross this finish line and get to move on to Ranger Reckoning. If you are just joining us right now, Ranger Reckoning is 13 events spread across Fort Benning. They will be going to several different ranges. We have a few live streams out here this week. You can go to the live stream site, then you can select those different ranges and you can go watch them live. As those ranges start, we will have live stream coverage at a few of them, and you can go to the site you're at now, go to our live stream, go to the different live streams that are available, and cycle through some of those. As they begin, we'll also have them on this screen, so you can see them at the bottom of this screen with also the points, and you can see how the day is kind of progressing from one location, and we can let you know what's going on. So as of right now, 40 teams are going to be going through the night road march. They'll be going through the night road march, and then they will also be continuing into night stakes, with the next primary cut occurring after night stakes. We expect 40 teams to leave here from Camp Rogers onto Ranger Reckoning, and then have to continue through the night road march as of right now. If that changes, we will let you know, but expect 40 teams to start the night road march tonight. You will also see many teams out on the road as the day goes. When we mapped out the course of what they're doing, not just between this buy-in event, but throughout the whole day, it's about a 35-mile day to get back here to just begin the night road march. If you want to start the night road march, it's going to take you about 35 miles of movement to clear all the different ranges that are out here at Fort Benning and get back to this location. So by the end of the night road march, you're talking 50 miles of weighted movement with your rucksack, your rifle, and your ranger buddy out there. So these guys are over time going to have to make a lot of decisions about how do I fuel, how do I hydrate, how fast do we actually want to move, because we have a long day ahead of us. Again, we've got about 17, 18 teams through event number 1. We've got 23 teams to go to get down to 40 teams for this initial cut. If you've never been to the Best Ranger competition before, I'll just give you a brief explanation of the competition. Or if you're new to it, or if your ranger's been training for it, but you still don't really understand it, here it is. It is a 3-day long competition. 61 teams start. Only 16 will finish the competition over 3 days. Every day is filled with events. Each event is ranked from first place to 40th place. If you're first place, you get 40 points. If you're last place, you get 1 point, and that continues through. The team with the most points wins. Events are spread across technical, tactical, physical, and cognitive capabilities for these rangers, and they'll be tested on each one of those capabilities. However, each event really has a physical component. So say you're at a maneuver range. Yes, a large part of that is your tactical ability to shoot your weapon, but it's also your physical ability to move quickly. Each event is then graded independently. Scores are accumulated over time, and then the Ranger team with the highest score will be crowned the best Rangers at the end of this weekend and get to hoist the staccato pistols above their head at the end of this competition. And that's what all these Rangers are out here for. They are out here to compete, to be the best. We have 61 teams that are starting that are the top 1% of the 1% of the 1% who have been selected by their divisions and their brigades to be here representing their units in order to compete. And in order to just compete, you have to be wildly physically fit, tactically competent, technically sound, be able to study your Ranger history and your Ranger knowledge, be able to really pass a high level board, and then come out here and then make sure you can do it on this weekend when you're up against all those other competitors that have been selected and trained the same way. For most units, training starts in about January. So you see competitors out here that have really devoted about 3.5 months of constant and consistent emphasis to this competition right here in order to try to be successful and to claim the title of Best Ranger. We have had 17 teams cross here at the finish line for event number 1. We are still waiting for more teams to cross. Many teams have left the pit. We probably have about 13, 14 teams out of the pit moving on to Ranger Reckoning. If you are just joining us, Ranger Reckoning is 13 different events spread across Fort Benning, and those events can be done by competitors in any order. If they want to bypass an event, they can bypass an event. However, the more points you have at the end of the day, the more likely you are to win the Best Ranger competition. It is purely points-based. So you will have teams go out and try to complete all 13 events. You will have teams that will be required to make a decision of, hey, we can't get to all 13, so let's go to these 10 where our strengths lie, or let's get these 7 that we really know we can do well, because they have to be back here. They have a no later than time to be back here. The final event they'll do today is the Malvesti obstacle course, which is where we are right now, and we will cover that for you as competitors are running through it. And then they'll go into their night ruck hold and then start an unknown distance ruck march into the night, and they will not sleep tonight. They will be required to go straight from that into the night stakes event, where they will be required to, again, prove their tactical, technical, and physical competence, even though they've just gone through an entire day of competition. We've got a question about Team 45 out there right now. Let me just check my list right now. Yes, Team 45, I believe, is through the first event. We watched that MCOE team finish just a while ago. I believe I saw them move out of the pit, so they should be moving on. In the comment section here, you'll see someone already dropped the Black Ohm site. That Black Ohm site will be critical for you guys to track your Rangers throughout the day, or track the competition as this thing spreads out and we have Rangers going in 13 different directions. Things are going to get pretty spread out, and that site is going to be great for you guys to understand where is your competitor, where are they located, and where are they headed to next. Again, if you are unfamiliar, we are here at the 42nd Annual David E. Grange Best Ranger Competition. We are here at the Water Can Carry event. The Water Can and Carry event finishes here at Camp Rogers, the home of Ranger School. And the Water Can event is each competitor got 2 water cans, and they are required to carry them 1.5 miles to a turnaround point and back. However, every time they dropped those cans, they had to run back to the start point and then back to their cans before they could carry them again. So the top team finished that single event only covering about 4.5 miles, which is phenomenal. But there are teams out here that will take 8, 9, 10 miles in order to complete that event. If you want just a good single training day, try to carry 2 45-pound dumbbells for 1.5 miles. and every time go run back to the start point, see how you do, and then understand that these guys are going to be required to do an entire day of competition after that. So it's really pretty spectacular, really pretty difficult, and these guys are just buying into the competition right now. We have 17 teams that have crossed here at event number 1. We are 3 hours and 43 minutes into the competition, and again, we've only had 17 teams finish the buy-in. We can expect that the 40th team will be well over 4 hours to complete just the buy-in to the event. And what's important to note there is the top team finished at about the 2 hour and 20 minute mark. So they have been out on the Ranger Reckoning course now for about an hour and 20 minutes and have that advantage because it will give them more time to complete ranges throughout day 1 and then remain competitive in the scoring of this competition long term. Teams that take longer out here are also going to face the heat, which is already starting to rise here in Fort Benning. The sun's starting to come out. The classic Georgia heat starting to creep in. You can feel the temperature rising, and we've got expected temperatures here today of about 84 degrees. So competitors are definitely going to have to measure the sun today and understand the effects of the heat. We have multiple live streams going on today, and those live streams are going to be spread out against. We'll see you later. The legend of the game, Dan Ellis, just walked by. He is a legend of the game. Brought us the OTB boots, a carbon-plated boot that, if you look at competitors' feet, is all over the competitors' feet out here. Those boots really take like the carbon-plated shoe technology of performance running shoe and put it in a military boot for the first time. Dan Ellis worked that project initially in 2021, has iterated on it, has made a phenomenal boot, and you will see it on competitors out here all the time because it is meant for performance. It is meant for soldiers to put on their feet and to really push to the next level, and that is what this weekend's all about. So you'll see them on the feet of competitors because what they're being asked to do here is nothing short of an ultra marathon on steroids, weighted over time, and these Rangers are just getting started. He just walked by, waved. Absolutely salt of the earth kind of human, and a guy that's really been supporting the force and making sure the equipment that are in the hands of Rangers match the mission requirement, which is one of great rigor, great difficulty, and we want it to try to be the best equipment we can possibly get in the hands of soldiers. Again, we are here at the water can finish line. The event for the water can finishes right here. The water can event is 1.5 miles. Every time you drop the cans, you got to walk or you got to run back to the start line, grab your cans, and then run back to the cans, grab them. We have only had 17 teams finish the day 1 buy-in event, which is about 15 miles for the fastest team and will become about 20 or 22 miles for the teams that are dropping the water cans more. And it is 3 hours and 46 minutes right now, and only 17 teams have completed that. By the time we get to 40 teams, we could be well looking at the 4.5 hour mark, and we will continue to update you as teams finish here at the water can event and let you know what their team numbers are, how they're doing, how they're stacking up. When they finish this event, they go back into the pit behind me. They're going to grab their rucks, they're going to grab their equipment, and then they're going to move out to Ranger Reckoning, which is the day-long event of choose your own adventure, go around Fort Benning, complete ranges, complete events, complete obstacle courses, complete all these different things around Fort Benning in order to accumulate points. The team with the most points at the end of the weekend will be crowned the best Ranger. And we are just getting started here at the beautiful Fort Benning, Georgia, Camp Rogers, the home of Ranger School. For a lot of these guys, you know, they go to Ranger School, then they leave Fort Benning, they go to their unit, and for some of them, it's their first time back at Benning. They receive a map with all their day 1 locations that they have to go to, but for most guys competing, this location, Fort Benning, is really their home. And they understand the terrain and the locations well. We have Team 22 coming across the line here. Team 22 from the 82nd Airborne Division, First Lieutenant Jackson Kohlhauer and First Lieutenant Keegan Boyd, Team 22 of the 82nd Airborne Division. They are the 18th team across the line in 3 hours and 47 minutes. Well done, gentlemen. You have bought yourself a spot at the Best Ranger competition and are one of the 40 teams moving on into Ranger Reckoning and the rest of Day 1. Again, that was Team 22 of the 82nd Airborne Division finishing Event 1 and moving along into the rest of the Day 1 competition. That is a 3 hour and 47 minute long buy-in to earn the spot to compete in the rest of the day. As I just said, we are cutting down to 40 teams right now. So only 40 teams are going to move on from the 61 teams. There will be several more cuts to happen throughout the weekend, and we will continue to cut down until we get to 16 teams at the end of Sunday. We'll finish the Best Ranger competition. Again, just finishing the competition, huge accomplishment. Just being out here and putting your name in the rank against the top 1% of the 1% of the 1%. Huge accomplishment. But again, we are now 3 hours and 49 minutes into the buy-in event, and they are just buying in to what's to come. What's to come? We've got Ranger Reckoning after they leave the pit. They're going to go from the water can event, go into the pit, grab their ruck, grab their equipment, get set, get rehydrated, well fed. They're going to move out on the Ranger Reckoning, and they're going to begin moving around all of Fort Benning, conducting ranges, obstacle courses, medical support. And they are going to cover about 35 miles today before they even get to the night road march. Here we go with the next team across the line. He's carrying those water cans a little bit extra. Let's see what team we got here. We got team number 13, lucky number 13, 1-3, team number 13.
Representing the 10th Mountain Division.
Team 13 of the 10th Mountain Division. The first team across the line this morning was Team 50 of the 75th Ranger Regiment. They completed this event in about 2 hours and 20 minutes. We are now at the 3 hour and 49 minute mark. We just had Team 13 come through the line. Team 13 is from the 10th Mountain Division. They've put together a great program this year, and they have really trained hard to be out here today. They are now bought into Day 1 of the Best Ranger competition. They will be allowed to move on to Ranger Reckoning. Again, we have about 18, 19 teams that have completed the Day 1 event at the 3 hour and 50 minute mark. Most people, when they complete a marathon in 3 hours and 50 minutes, they go eat a good meal, they go take a nap, they high-five their friends, and then that's it. These guys are just getting bought into the rest of the day. They are going to move from here out onto the Ranger Reckoning course, and they are going to be forced to endure through the Georgia heat today, several different ranges. Some of those ranges include the Krilling range, which is a 3-gun style shoot. We are going to have a black powder range today in homage to Rogers Rangers and really the heritage of the Rangers going back all the way to the 1700s. And there will be some events out here that competitors likely haven't seen. There's an archery event this weekend. There's a spear throwing event this weekend. Some events that guys are not so familiar with, like an HF radio long shot, which is not something that a lot of forces still use, but is an absolutely relevant skill when you're talking about long-range reconnaissance or the ability to infill undetected and use a communication systems that cannot be tracked as well and is reliable well over the horizon if you're using a long shot whip like they'll be asked to today. We are still waiting for more teams to cross the line. Right now, we've had about 18 teams cross the line. We're at the 3 hour and 51 minute mark here at Fort Benning, Georgia, 42nd Annual David E. Grange Best Ranger Competition, brought to you by the National Ranger Association. We are out here today waiting for the next teams to still come across the line. 18 teams have finished the first event. They have moved into the pit. In the pit, they are given a map. They are allowed to set their gear, but they have to grab their rucksack, their weapon that they are issued for the remainder of the competition, and then they get to move out. That map gives them the keys to the castle. There are 13 events out there that they have to go complete. They do not have to complete all of them. They can choose whatever order they want to complete those events in, but as they complete events, they can earn points. Any team that wins an event is going to be awarded 40 points today. Any team that is the bottom team at that event is going to receive 1 point today. However, if you just complete more events than other teams, you have a mathematical advantage over the other teams because you'll just have more points. And at the end of the week, at the end of the weekend, it's points that are going to determine who is the best ranger. Every single event is graded independently. So it doesn't matter how you did on the last event, or it doesn't matter if you come across this line this morning in 25th place, you can still win. I was talking this morning with John Bergman, who competed and won twice in this competition. And in 2019, he ended day one in 34th place, and his team still came back with the technical and tactical capability to win the competition. So although day one's important, these guys are just getting bought in, just getting set up for what's to come. And teams will absolutely be able to move throughout the day. Once we get the live scoring here, we will begin to start posting that live scoring in the corner of the screen so that you guys can see it. And then we will also have the different live streams up here so you can see it in one spot, but you could also go to those different live streams and watch the different ranges. On course this weekend, we're going to have Jay Brend, a legend of the live stream game. He will be around all weekend live streaming. He will also be live streaming the night foot march tonight. So if you're interested in the night road march, he will be out here till about 2 a.m. Giving you live coverage of that. For whoever wants to stay up and watch their Rangers, absolutely go through it. And then we've also got Blaine out here, who won the competition in 1993. So we have a wealth of experience out here in the competition for you to come view the 42nd annual David E. Grange Best Ranger Competition. We are here at the completion of the buy-in event. Again, we have only had about 18, 19 teams through the buy-in event. As they complete here, they will move into the pit and move on to Ranger Reckoning. We will let you know as more teams cross, but if at any point you have questions or you're watching the live stream and something comes to mind, please let me know. If you want to track your Ranger specifically or someone you're cheering on, there is a post up ahead that has the Black Ohm website details and the Guidon app. All the details required in order to log on to that Black Ohm app are there. In Black Ohm, you'll be able to track your competitor and exactly where they are on Fort Benning. Something important to note as we get live scoring throughout the day, that live scoring is going to move a lot. And as get completed and do different events throughout the day. So expect to see guys jumping around a bunch throughout the day and moving up and down in the rankings as we move throughout the day. But don't get too wrapped around it early. We will consolidate the scoring by the end of the day and then give you like the clean cut version before the night road march so you know how your Ranger stacks up. We are still waiting for our 19th team to complete event number 1. We are 3 hours and 55 minutes in, so that means we have only had 18 teams finish event 1, the buy-in event for the Best Ranger competition. You can feel the temperature starting to increase a little bit here. We put up a little flag just to shield us from the sun at this location, but those Rangers out there today will have no shelter from the elements. A lot of the course that they're asked to move is uncovered, unshaded, so they will be in the Georgia heat, in the Georgia sun, and really just enduring through some pretty remarkable conditions today, and they'll be forced to take care of themselves if they want to do well. We continue to look down the road to see if more teams are coming. They will continue to come. We can expect, the 40th place team probably here now around the 4:30 to 4:45 mark, I would expect. And again, we are cutting from 61 teams down to 61 teams down to 40 teams by the end of this first event. And then we're cutting throughout the weekend all the way down to 16 teams that will finish the Best Ranger competition. So we've got a question about where can you see the written task conditions and standards for the event so far. So the task conditions and standards are not publicly published. However, if you have a question about how a range is being conducted or what the task conditions and standards of a single event may be, let me know if you have a specific question and I can try and help you out and get that answered. They did not publish publicly the full task conditions and standards to everybody, and largely that's because down here at the competition there is a interaction between the coaches and the competitors that is tried to be limited. And you don't want to give too many keys to the castle out, because then it's really the more heads you have, the more effective you are. We're really testing the two-man Ranger buddy team that is competing today. And what did they glean from Competitors Week, the task condition standards brief that they received, and how are they implementing that out on course without the influence of their coaches or other individuals to do a little bit of the thinking for them. So task condition standards not publicly posted this year, but if you've got a general question, I can help run that down for you and get that answered for you. We are still at the finish line of event number 1, waiting to see who will be the top 40 teams that buy in to the Best Ranger competition. And we are rocking and rolling here, Fort Benning, Georgia. So we've got teams coming to the finish line right now. As we see them come to the finish line, maybe we can turn the camera there for a second so people understand what's going on. You'll have people come to the finish line, turn around. They'll have to go back out and get their water cans. They're doing these laps, basically, from their water cans, back to their water cans, back to the finish line, back. So we'll see Team 12 right here. They're going to spin around because they've got to go get their water cans. And right behind them is Team 26. Watch what Team 26 does. They're going to spin around, but their water cans are right there. So they're going to go grab their water cans. They're going to go finish event number 1. They're going to finish in about 3 hours, 58 minutes, 47 seconds. They will be our 19th team across the line, and we are just getting rocking and rolling here at the Best Ranger competition. Here we go. Team 26 coming across the line right now. There we go, CW2 Field, Sergeant Krawczyk of the 101st Airborne Division, completing event number 1 in 3 hours and 59 minutes. Again, the first event takes 3 hours and 59 minutes, and now they're going to move on. They have just bought themselves the opportunity to compete today after a 4-hour-long event. They're going to go into the pit, receive a map, be able to set their equipment, then they're going to begin moving out along Fort Benning in order to see where the day takes them. Is Team 19 still on the run? Let me check that for you. No, Team 19 has completed, I believe, the event. It was either Team 19 or Team 21 from the 25th ID. I would invite you to check the Black Ohm tracker. We have another team across right now from 7ID. That is Team 11. Team 11 from the 7th Infantry Division, First Lieutenant Robert Coyle and First Lieutenant Gilbert crossed the line in 4 hours exactly. They have bought themselves an opportunity to compete to become the Best Ranger. They will receive their map, they will receive their equipment, and they will prepare to move outward and onward in order to compete across this weekend. Again, they are now moving to the pit where they will establish themselves, they will grab their equipment, and they will get the opportunity to then move along to the rest of day 1. The rest of day 1 is filled with 13 events spread across all of Fort Benning, and those events range from ranges to obstacle courses to medical lanes to radio communications ranges, and they are going to continue movement about 35 total miles today before they're back here around 6 p.m. for the night road march. I'm so sorry to hear that. I will try and figure that out on our end then for where Team 19 is and try to get you a better answer there. If you are just joining us, we are here at the 2026 David E. Grange Best Ranger competition, where we will this weekend crown the Best Ranger, best two-man Ranger team in the Army. This competition was established in 1982 when David E. Grange, Lieutenant General David E. Grange, assigned the Ranger Training Department at the time the requirement to establish a Ranger Olympics that could identify the best two-man team. That competition stayed at the Ranger Training Brigade for 2 years before being open to the 75th Ranger Regiment, and then 2 years after that being open to the rest of the Army, and eventually internationally as well. The competition is now in its 42nd year. It has only missed twice, once in 2001 for the global war on terror, and once in 2020 for COVID. Other than that, it has run 42 consecutive years in crowning the Best Ranger. I just want to take a moment to say, while we are crowning the Best Ranger out here this weekend. It is important to note that this weekend's also a celebration of the Rangers that never made it home, that are truly the best Rangers, that sacrificed all they had for this country. And this weekend's really a celebration not only of them, but of the community, of the Ranger community, and what it means to be a Ranger. We are going to force these guys to move further, faster, and fight harder, but it is in celebration of those that came before us and the community that has stood for so long and accepted that doing hard things is really just the buy-in to the rest of the job. And so out here, you're going to see Rangers that have deployed multiple times. You will see Rangers that have competed multiple times. You will have seen Rangers that have spent a career in the Army, and some Rangers that are new to the Army. But what's phenomenal about this competition is it levels the playing field and asks, are you technically, tactically, cognitively, and physically sound, and can you compete against the very best in the United States Army to be crowned the U.S. Army's best Ranger? There we go. Thank you so much for answering that question for Team 19. We are now looking for Team 54. Let me take a look real quick at who Team 54 is. Team 54, I believe, is still out on course for the water can carry event. We are at the finish line for the water can carry event. This event is 1.5 miles long. Every time you drop your water cans, you're carrying 2 45-pound water cans. Every time you drop them, you got to run back to the start. So for some teams, this event only took about 4 miles. They dropped the cans maybe 2 or 3 times. For some teams, they are dropping the cans 20, 30 times as now they reach muscle failure in their grip. So the event is now 7 or 8 miles long. We are at the 4 hour and 4 minute mark here at Fort Benning, Georgia. Just still wrapping up event number 1, and that is the buy-in event to be able to compete in the rest of the Best Ranger competition. We have Team 23 close to the finish. They dropped their cans about 10 meters from the finish line. They're doing a quick turn and burn. We've got Team 23 coming in. That is of the 82nd Airborne Division. Team 26 of the 101st Airborne Division is already through the water can event for Drake that's asking. Team 26 already through. Team 23 now through as well. We have about 20 teams that have completed the water can carry event. 22 teams across the finish line for the first event. We have 18 more teams that need to cross the line until we can go down to 40 teams for day 1. We have started with 61 teams here. We are cutting down to 40, and then we will move to 16 teams by the end of this and crown ourselves the best Ranger. Yes, Team 26 is done with the water can carry. That is correct. They are moving into the pit. When they move into the pit, they are going to get their map, they are going to get their equipment, and they're going to move on to Ranger Reckoning. Ranger Reckoning is a 13-event a series of 13 different events spread across Fort Benning. It is a choose-your-own-adventure type of day, so Rangers can go out, pick whatever order they want to do these things in, and pick if they want to bypass the lane or focus on the lanes that are their strength. But again, accumulating points is how you win this competition. So the more points you can accumulate, the better you're going to do. If you can accumulate 40 points at a time, you can win the competition. If you skip too many events, you will naturally lose points to other teams. And so teams really have to make a decision of how many events can I complete, how many events should I complete, and then how many events do I need to complete in order to be competitive. And as the day goes on, teams will continue to have to make that decision because it is going to get hot here today. We were talking about 84, 85 degrees today before it's all said and done. So teams really have to make a decision early and often about how am I going to hydrate, how am I going to take care of my body, myself, my partner, and how are we going to get through what we need to get through. They have a no later than time back here at Camp Rogers of about 6 p.m. And once they get back here, they're going to enter the night road march. So the fun never stops here at the Best Ranger competition. It is about 60 hours of constant competition, covering about 80 to 90 miles of movement, almost all weighted or carrying some sort of implement. And what's really phenomenal about this competition is that unlike a marathon where you can just sit in a pocket and run steady, you have to run steady and then you have to do something that's highly anaerobic, highly intense, and then you got to go back to steady because all these individual events is where you actually get points. The movement between ranges is not graded. So you can move as slow or as fast as you want between those ranges, but the more ranges you complete throughout the day, the better you're going to do, but all of those are very intense anaerobic events. Team 20, did they make it through? Let's take a look. I have not seen Team 20 through yet, according to my tracker, but I will keep an eye out for them. For your question of
where's the schedule for the rest of the day? The schedule can be found on the Guide On app. The Guide On app has the schedule for the rest of the day. It has the login information for the Black Ohm Tracker. The Black Ohm Tracker is how you can track the location of each and every ranger that's out here this weekend, where they are on the course and where they're headed, so you can stay up to date with how well they're moving. You know, you will see times though where they are just stagnant at a range. That is normal because it takes some time to get on the range, receive the weapon systems required for the range, execute whatever you need to execute for the range, and then move forward from there. Thank you, Katrina. Again, if you guys can continue to help each other in the chat, we've got the Black Ohm app out where you can track your competitor. The Guide On app has the schedule of the days. If you're out here, it's also got the location for the ranges. It is the best way to find your way around Fort Benning. So if you download the Guide On app, you can actually find your way around Fort Benning. You can enter a range number and it'll take you there. Google Maps doesn't work great without that information. So go get the Guide On app, download it. You will have the schedule for today, tomorrow, and Sunday, and you'll also have the information necessary in order to track where your ranger is exactly in the competition on the map. So it is a pretty phenomenal way to track the competition. We are at the 4 hour and 8 minute mark at event 1. Still waiting for another team. Here comes Team 24. Team 24 is going to be our 23rd team across the line. Team 24 of the 82nd Airborne Division. Team 24 of the 82nd Airborne Division across the line. All right, Team 24 of the 82nd Airborne Division have bought the right to compete for the Best Ranger competition. They are the 23rd team across the line. They are team number 24. They will go into the pit, receive their map, receive their equipment, and then they will move on to conduct the Ranger Reckoning throughout day 1. Here we go. We've got teams. If we see them at the finish line, you'll just keep seeing these teams spin around. They got to go get their water cans again. And we got a team headed to the line right now. There we go. They have crossed the line. That is our 24th team across the line. That is team number 53. Team number 53 is across the line. Captain Gust and Captain Brady of USASOC have crossed the line. Again, that was just Team 53 across the line. If you're walking from home, they'll go into the pit, they'll collect their equipment, they'll get their map for the day, and they will head out on Ranger Reckoning, where they will be asked to complete a series of ranges and tasks in order to complete the competition. So we have about 24 teams across. We are cutting down to 40 today, so we have 16 more teams to go to cross that line and finish event 1. We are at the 4 hour and 10 minute mark. Here comes another team. Team 14 is coming across the line. Team 14, 10th Mountain Division, Sergeant Jones, Sergeant Zayas are coming across the line at the 4 hour and 10 minute mark. They have just bought themselves the right to compete at the Best Ranger competition for the rest of day 1. They are about the 25th finisher of this event. Team number 14 of the 10th Mountain Division, representing strong. We are here at Camp Rogers, the home of Ranger School, watching the 42nd Annual David E. Grange Best Ranger competition, where we will be live all weekend, bringing you the coverage we can, covering the competition from not only this location, but we'll also have some remote cameras out at the ranges covering the 3-gun shoot, maybe the black powder shoot, whatever we can get to cover and cover well. We will try to get a camera out there and cover for you. We've got a great team out here today. I'm joined by Jay Bren, who is a legend of covering this competition. He has covered it, coached it, or competed it for the past about 13 years, so he understands this competition better than almost anybody. And we've also got Blaine out here, the winner from 1993, still running with a camera, could still probably compete and wants to compete. And so we're going to have to figure out with the Ranger Training Brigade how to get him a competition spot for next year. But he is out here with a camera, bringing you guys some coverage. So as you go from this live stream, you can check the other live streams and then see what's going on in different places. But again, we will bring you coverage here live for as long as we possibly can. And then we're going to go switch out to a range here a little later and cover some of the action there but we are right here at Camp Rogers at the 42nd Annual David E. Grange Best Ranger Competition, where we are tracking 25 teams across the line of Event 1. And we are at the 4-hour and 12-minute mark. We will stay at this location until we bring you the 40-team cut that is moving on. 61 teams started, 40 teams moving on to day 1, and we will continue to bring that coverage until we make that cut. Then we'll go out to a range. We'll show you some of the fun stuff that's going on out there. We'll pick up some people for interviews so you can stop looking at me all the time, and then we will continue to answer whatever questions you may have. Please put them in the chat, and we'll try to either run down an answer as a team or get it from you from the people that run this competition. While we're here, I want to thank the National Ranger Association for making this weekend possible, and especially the Ranger Training Brigade RIs, their cadre, their commanders, the Command Sergeant Major out here, the RIs that walk stud throughout the weeks, the months of the year to ensure that the U.S. Army has Rangers that can be fielded to the force, and now they're out here providing a world-class event, and really on a weekend that otherwise they would probably have off. So they're out here absolutely moving heaven and earth for a world-class event and covering.
For the 25th finishers, for the entire buy-in of the run,
Sorry.
swim, run, they had completed 20.6 miles.
Wow.
To
So
give you a reference of how much these
the news we just got was that the team that just finished, the 25th team, had already completed 20 miles of movement this morning. Almost all weighted, carrying heavy stuff, doing remarkably hard things. They have covered 20 miles in 4 hours and 14 minutes, and guess what? It's just getting started. That's just the buy-in. They're about to head out for about another 35 miles of movement throughout the day if they want to compete to be the best ranger. We're at 25 teams right now. We got 15 more to go to cut down to 40 teams and then begin the Ranger Reckoning portion of the day. We are at 4 hours and 14 minutes waiting for the next team to cross. While we're waiting for the next team to cross, just to give you kind of an overview of the weekend. If you just came to the stream, we are here right now at the buy-in event. The buy-in event, as you just heard, was about 14 miles for the top teams. It is now 20 miles for the teams that are finishing right now. That is solely based on how often you dropped your water cans was the big differentiator there. They'll move here from Ranger Reckoning, which is a 13-range series. They'll then come back here for the night road march, which is an unknown distance ruck march into the night, where upon completion they will be asked to then conduct a bunch of night stakes that they'll be required to do. Night stakes are technical and tactical activities that they'll be required to prove their mastery in. Then they'll move on to the day 2 event. The day 2 event is nothing but high anaerobic activities. So if you like watching the CrossFit Games, if you like watching super intense exercise, tomorrow will be the day for you to come on, to give it a watch and give it a try. And then day 2 nighttime, they do nightland navigation, which for most teams is the hardest event in the competition because it is really up to you. Teams that are really here to compete for the win will have to move a remarkable distance in denied terrain through the woods, bushwhacking from point to point in order to try to be successful and win. And then we move into day 3. And day 3 has a few high-intensity, high-octane events like the water confidence test. That water confidence test is a 20-foot beam across the water that competitors have to walk, scale a rope, do a zip line. It is a blast to watch. They will have a few ranges throughout the day on day 3, and then it will complete with the historic final buddy run that ends at the National Infantry Museum. So if you are down here in Columbus, not doing anything Sunday, please come on down to the National Infantry Museum, where we are going to celebrate these Rangers and all they did today. We got another Old Guard team, Team 35, turning on their cans right now. Team 35 of the Old Guard is finishing right now. They are the 26th team to finish. Team 35 has just finished. Command Sergeant Major Rocky's got to be feeling pretty good about that. He is the Command Sergeant Major of the Old Guard here, watching his guys compete. Command Sergeant Major Rocky competed last year as a Command Sergeant Major from the Old Guard. He's out here supporting his boys this weekend. We've got 2 Old Guard teams through the buy-in event, and they are rocking and rolling now into Ranger Reckoning. They have bought the opportunity to compete in the remainder of the day. We have 26 teams through, 14 to go to make it to the final cuts for day 1, and we've got about 26 teams now out on course conducting the Ranger Reckoning event. What a fantastic start to the day. If you are just joining us this morning, it was cold here. It was about 40 degrees. We had guys getting into Victory Pond when it was dark. You could still see the fog rising over the water. It was so cool. It was so cold. So cold our equipment couldn't work, so we couldn't do this portion of the live stream. I apologize, but we are here now trying to bring you the best coverage we possibly can. If at any point you've got questions, you need help, please drop it in the chat. We've got people watching all day that can help you out with questions you may have, or if we see the question, we will answer it. We've got cameras going on at different locations as well. We've got Jay, Brendan, Blaine. Jay Brendan's been covering the competition competing, or coaching the competition for about 13 years. And Blaine, a winner from 1993, still out here running and gunning with a camera, making sure we can get some good coverage. They are about to push out to the ranges. I see them staging right now, making a plan about where we're going to go, what we're going to do next. As they push out to those ranges, you will be able to switch to those cameras and watch, some of the more high octane events that we've got going on today. And then as that wraps up today, we'll come back here and we'll kind of digest the day, let you know who's who in the zoo, how the rankings and standings are really shaking up, and what you can expect throughout the night, day 2 and day 3. But we are currently at Camp Rogers here for the 42nd annual David E. Grange Best Ranger Competition, brought to you by the National Ranger Association and the Airborne and Ranger Training Brigade. Out here for a world-class event, really an endurance event. I see a team from the 101st right now headed out to Ranger Reckoning. You can see they are in full uniform with their rucksack on, weapon in hand, combat equipment on, and they are walking, moving out. That is how they will move for most of the day, because it is 35 miles of movement before they get back here this evening and then can do the night road march. So really just an incredible amount of movement that happens just on day 1, and that's before we even talk the night road march. You have teams that are just completing the water can event that have moved 22, 23 miles, almost all weighted, just to buy into the competition, and then they're asked to go do more. And that's really just the ethos of the Rangers as a whole. They're going to be asked all weekend to move further, faster, and fight harder than any other soldier, point blank. And they are now going to move into Ranger Reckoning and continue to move along Fort Benning. We are going to stay here at this location until we cut down to 40 teams. We've got about 14 teams to go till we get there. We are now at the 4-hour and 20-minute mark. So I know before I said I thought 4.5 hours. I was wrong. We may be looking at 5.5 hours until we get 40 teams across this line and moving on into the Ranger Reckoning portion of this competition. If you are just joining us for the day, if you're new to the competition, we'll give you a brief overview. Best Ranger competition, 3-day competition. We've got 61 teams out here right now. We're going to cut down to 40 teams, but only 16 teams will complete the competition. We have about 25 events total in day 1, with 13 being a part of Ranger Reckoning, a bunch of night stakes, different events going on. And then we'll move into day 2. Day 2 will have about 11 events, and day 3 about 13 events. If you win an event, you get 40 points. If you lose an event, or if you're last place in an event, you get 1 point. And at the end of the weekend, whoever has the most points gets crowned the best ranger at the Best Ranger competition. Those events test the tactical, technical, cognitive, and physical capabilities of these competitors, and they will be asked to really do some incredible things throughout the weekend in order to not only maintain their spot, but especially if they want to compete to win out here. They are going to be asked to move 80 to 90 miles this weekend, weighted. However, the real test here is that you can move comfortably for a while, and then when you get to a range, you are asked to do something incredibly intense, incredibly difficult, incredibly hard, and then you have to find that pocket again where you can move reliably between ranges. The distance between ranges, or the time between ranges, is not graded. So You just have to move to the next range to get there to even be eligible to get more points. Well, for most teams, that slowly chips away at their ability to perform at those ranges and go highly anaerobic at the ranges. And guys have to fight through that. They have to constantly overcome that physical fatigue in order to really improve, in order to develop, and in order to grow. So we're gonna see some competitors get to some of these ranges and absolutely throw down today. And you'll wonder, how can they move 40 miles weighted and then still be able to really attack the rest of the day or attack some of these events? And the answer is these guys have been preparing for this since probably last April. Some of these guys for multiple years have had their eyes on this competition, trying to prepare physically, tactically, and technically in order to provide an opportunity for themselves to even have a chance at doing well out here. Here we go. 11th Airborne Division. Team 17 is across the line. Team 17 across the line, that I believe is the 27th team. We have 13 more teams. 11th Airborne Division out here in the heat. Who said they weren't acclimated? Not me. They are acclimated. They are ready to roll. And we got Team 33 approaching the line now as well. Team 33. Team 33 of 3CR approaching the line to complete the buy-in event for the first event of the Best Ranger competition. Again, that'll mean we have about 3rd CR Team 33. Team 33 just finished. Team 33 just finished across the line from 3CR. You're going to see them head off to the pit. You're going to see them get reset, get their equipment. You can see on Team 33, we've got some blood coming out of the hands. We've got a little bit of sunburn going on. Those are the elements, the unknowns that they are going to have to deal with this weekend and deal with as a team. There's no team that is going to leave here unscarred, unscathed. There's always something that you did not plan for that is going to happen. But Team 33 across the line, and they are moving on. I agree, Alex Sales. The best competition in Georgia going on this weekend is BRC. Better than the Masters, better than the Atlanta Braves. If you want real action from some real red-blooded American heroes, it's right here at the 42nd Annual David E. Grange Best Ranger Competition. There is Captain Greg Kaufman walking through again, the Special Projects Officer, the man responsible for most of the weekend and making sure we have the capability and capacity to run this event. A fantastic red-blooded American himself. And a former Red Warrior. If you were a Red Warrior, that's Greg Kaufman. Moving on through. We are still waiting for more competitors to complete the first event of the 42nd Annual David E. Grange Best Ranger Competition. This is just the buy-in event. We are at the 4-hour and 25-minute mark. Teams completing the event now will have moved about 22 to 23 miles, and they are just through event 1. They have a day ahead of them. They're going to move on to Ranger Reckoning. They're going to do about 35 miles of movement throughout the day, completing 13 different ranges to accumulate as many points as they possibly can to try and earn the title of Best Ranger. If you're just coming to us now, we are going to try to bring you some live coverage just about all weekend here. We even have a team that's staying out for the night road march until 2 a.m. to bring you full coverage of the Best Ranger competition. It is really a phenomenal weekend. It is a weekend that highlights the ethos of the Rangers. We're going to ask these guys to move further, faster, and fight harder constantly to complete a various amount of events. And to do so, they will be asked to compete technically, tactically, cognitively, and physically almost constantly with almost no rest and limited supplies. It is really a test of will and skill out here today and a representation of what Ranger culture and the Ranger community really means out here at Fort Benning, Georgia. What a phenomenal weekend. If you're in the Columbus, Georgia area, I recommend you come out, you watch some of this live, because it is unbelievable when you see what these guys can do with 40 miles on their legs. You realize that the American force is absolutely lethal and dangerous, and that Rangers are the spearhead of that organization. We are out here, 42nd Annual Best Ranger competition, we have had about 28 teams complete event 1. We have to get to 40 teams. We are at 4 hours and 27 minutes. We have 61 teams that started this competition. We are going to go down to 40 teams by the end of this. The view you're looking at right now is of the pit. The pit is where they will get reset. There we go. There we go. We have 4th ID, the 29th finisher, First Lieutenant Holt, out there with his partner. Another 112 guy coming through the line. 4 ID, again, that is team number 8 has completed the buy-in event for the opportunities to compete in the rest of the Best Ranger competition. To answer your question, Eduardo, yes, Ranger Reckoning has started. So the top team completed the event 1 buy-in in about 2 hours and 20 minutes. We are now at the 4 hour and 20 minute mark. That means Ranger Reckoning has been going on for about 2 hours. Teams are starting to move to those ranges. We're getting cameras moved over to those ranges right now so that we can cover it for you. But they are already out there at ranges. As we get scoring from the ranges, we will update our scoring estimates and let you know exactly how competitors are doing out there. Again, right now what you're looking at is the pit. You'll see teams go in there. They're going to receive a map. They're going to get their equipment set. They're going to get their ruck pack. And then they're going to move on out of here and they're going to go conquer Ranger Reckoning. 13 events, completed as you want it. You can travel in any order to whatever events you want. You could bypass an event if you wanted. But the more events you complete, the more points you can score. The more points you can score, the better of a chance you have at finishing or winning the 2026 Best Ranger competition. Those ranges will be going on just about all day once they start. So once these ranges start, teams will be cycling through them all day. But again, they can pick the order. They can pick the duration. So sometimes there's no teams at a range. Sometimes there's a bunch of teams at a range. There we go. We've got a 5th Corps team coming up right now, Team 31. If you're here cheering for Team 31, Team 31 has officially crossed the line of the first event of the Best Ranger competition. They have completed it in 4 hours and 29 minutes and 19 seconds. Just bought into the Best Ranger competition. An absolutely remarkable feat when you think they just moved their bodies for 4 hours and 29 minutes, covering 22 to 24 miles, weighted with a sandbag and water cans in hand with a swim in there as well. And now they can really start the Best Ranger competition as they move on to Ranger Reckoning. Absolutely. We've got cameras going out to the other ranges right now. Again, it's a little hard to predict where these rangers are going to go because every ranger can come up with their own plan, but we are trying to currently move cameras into position in order to cover some of those ranges, and then we will try to give you some coverage and feedback on there. As those ranges start being covered, we're also going to broadcast them at the bottom of the screen here so you can see kind of a split screen action view of what's going on, or you can transition over to those live feeds and watch them go on. But we are going to stay live here until we cut to 40 teams, and then we will break this down temporarily and move out to a range to go cover some of the other events.
All across Camp Rogers, you can see all of the Ranger Reckoning locations.
If you're just joining us right now and you have any questions, if you've got a ranger out there and you got questions, if you've got a question about task condition standards or what is going on today or what is this or where should I go, please drop it in the chat. Someone will answer it or I will take a look and I'll give you the best answer I can possibly give you. But understand that, you know, for a lot of us, if we're unfamiliar with the competition, this is a beast, a behemoth that moves across all of Fort Benning, that is continually happening right now across 13, 14 different ranges, and is just going and moving almost non-stop today. So if you wanna follow the competition right now and you're at Fort Benning, download the Guidon app, open that app. That will be your best way to move around Fort Benning. It also has the schedule of events for the day by the range name, and that is the best way to get around on Fort Benning if you've got the Guidon app. It also has the Black Ohm website. The Black Ohm website is the live tracking website that will allow you to select one of your rangers and track where they are in the competition. Also gives you a map of where all the competitors are, so you can get a good sense of how far spread out this is going to be. Again, just to finish this day today, competitors are going to have to move about 35 miles. And then we're going to move into the night road march, and they're going to be asked to move even further. So we are about 28, 29 teams complete with event 1. Again, we've got to wait till we get to 40 teams. So we started with 69 or 61. We're going to cut down to 40. And then the competition continues to cut. It's going to cut down to 16 eventually. But today we are interested in what 40 teams move through the buy-in and then earn the right to compete in the rest of the day 1 Best Ranger competition, moving on to Ranger Reckoning. We've had about 29 teams across the line. We're waiting for 11 more here right now until we get that 40-team cup. And we'll let you know as they come across which teams are finishing here, and then you can expect them to move out to Ranger Reckoning pretty quickly. Behind me is the pit. If you've been here before, it's the wood chip pit that you likely did push-ups in if you came to Ranger School, or if your Ranger came down here where they did push-ups at Ranger School. Their rucksacks are staged there right now, and teams that will finish the event will go, move on, grab their rucksack, grab their equipment, get set, and then move out onto day 1 of the Best Ranger competition. They are just bought in. We are at the 4-hour and 33-minute mark right now, and we are still waiting for teams here at event number 1. That means it is about 10:06 a.m. right now. You can feel the temperature in the day really starting to rise. You can feel it starting to get very hot out here. Teams are going to have to make decisions of how do I hydrate? How do I feed? How do I eat my calories efficiently? How do I stay well hydrated and well prepared so that I can continue to move throughout the day? You've got teams receiving maps. Those maps are going to guide them around Fort Benning in the pit. So they've got to get their map. They've got to make a route selection. They've got to decide how am I going to go where, what am I going to do, and where am I going to go from there. I was just handed this map of the day 1 competition. The day 1 competition, as you can see, is spread across Fort Benning. It is littered across the range complex from the south part, if you've been here before, of Weems Pond all the way to the Warrior Training Center and even west of there. So day 1 itself is going to span about 35 miles of movement if you want to complete every single range available today, and that is a tall task. There will be a team list published once we get the finalized 40 teams that have crossed the line. RTB will publish it on the MCOE site. National Ranger Association will publish it on their site, and we will also publish it right here on this YouTube feed in the corner of the screen once we have it. But again, they are not going to release those top 40 teams until it is official that the 40 teams have crossed the line and have made the decision on which teams will not be moving on in the Best Ranger competition. We've got families out here. What was the app to track your team? Black Ohm. So if you download the Guidon app, in the Guidon app there will be information about the Black Ohm app. The Black Ohm app is what's going to help you identify where to go or where your ranger is. And then you can kind of track their location on the map, where they're headed, and you can try to intercept them at a certain range. Again, no one knows what range any ranger is going to go to beside that ranger and his teammate right now. So as they receive the map, they are making decisions on where am I going to go, what am I going to do, how am I going to get there. But tracking them on the Black Ohm map will allow you to possibly intercept them and then you get to the range that you want to be at to watch. Again, download the Guidon app. On the Guidon app is the Black Ohm map information, the schedule for the day, and also the best way to navigate around Fort Benning. So that Guidon app is really your keys to the castle this weekend as we move through here. So I'm just being told that if you're trying to log into the Black Ohm website, the best way to do it is to take that login information that's on Guidon, copy and paste that information in directly, because if we have too many failed attempts, it continuously locks out the system, and then we got to reboot the system. So double check when you're inputting the username and password so that you can log in correctly, and then we can allow others to also log in well and keep that thing moving. We are here. We are 4 hours and 36 minutes into the Best Ranger competition. We are still waiting for 40 teams to cross the line. We are at about the 29-30 team mark, so we still have 10 teams. I can tell you right now what I'm starting to see on teams is that we are starting to see the sun effect on some of these guys that have been in a t-shirt all morning, and you can start seeing that some of these guys are going to come across the line a little sunburnt if they did not apply sunscreen this morning. you know, there are so many things to think about in this competition, and one of them sometimes you forget about is little things like I've got to take care of my skin, because in the Georgia heat, Georgia sun, if I get sunburn, I will not be able to carry on and continue my mission. So you'll see some teams that have really thought through the little particulars like that, and you'll see other teams that did not maybe, you know, think of the effects of the sun, or did not expect to be out on event 1 for 4.5 hours, and now they've got to kind of wrestle through the rest of the day what they're going to do. Once they get into the pit, they're going to get their equipment on, their long sleeve on. They'll be a little more protected from the sun, but again, you've got to protect yourself out here long term. We got Team 5 from the 3rd Infantry Division, I believe coached by Gabby White this year. They are about to complete. There we go, Team 5 spinning around, grabbing the cans one last time. They're going to get across the line. There we go, Team 5. 3rd Infantry Division complete. They are the 31st team across the line, and they are moving on. They have bought themselves into the Best Ranger competition. That was just the buy-in. That team has likely covered 24, 25, 26 miles of movement this morning, and they are now bought in for the opportunity to go chew up some more miles, to go do some more hard things, to go experience the ranges of day 1, and to compete to be crowned the best ranger out here at the Best Ranger competition. We are at the 4-hour and 38-minute mark. We are here at the pit watching competitors come in. As the competitors come in, you'll start to see some action in the pit. We'll get you focused on that right now. Teams are going to get in there. They're going to get their maps. They're going to get their equipment. They're going to get set. They're going to route plan. They're going to decide where they're going to go for the day. They're going to decide how they're going to get there. They're going to decide how they're going to move, where they're going to move, what they're going to do, and then they're going to move out. And throughout that process, you're going to start seeing teams really have to make decisions of where do we want to go, what do we want to do. Ranger Reckoning is built of 13 different events this next phase of the competition, and they can choose to go anywhere and do any of them. They don't have to do all of them, but points matter out here. So if you want to compete to be the best ranger, you're going to have to complete a ton of events today. You're going to have to try to complete 12 or 13 events to remain competitive, and so you're going to see teams make decisions of how can we do that best in order to try and remain competitive, get through the day safely, and then also be set up for success in the night road march and to continue and finish the 2026 Best Ranger competition. So what you're looking at right now is the pit. The pit is the location in which they will receive that gear, that map, and then move on from event number 1 into Ranger Reckoning, which again is 13 events spread all across Fort Benning. We have had about 31 teams across here. So we are waiting for 9 more until we can do our 40 team cut. We will stay here until we get all those 40 teams across the line. Again, you can tell that the heat is starting to crank up, that teams are starting to be affected by the heat, and that heat is going to be a large factor out here this weekend when we talk about just the difficulty level overall of this competition. Part of this competition is about skill, part of it's about will, and part of it's also about knowing your partner and how they're doing. These guys have likely trained together for 3-4 months, and they can sense in their partner when their partner is doing well, when their partner is struggling, and what they have to do in order to try to be successful. So a lot of this is not just managing yourself, it's also managing the ranger buddy that you came to the competition with, and what the two of you are going to need to do together in order to be successful and in order to carry on. Now, we have teams in the pit right now. I see the 4th ID team with Lieutenant Holt. It looks like they're getting ready to move on out to Ranger Reckoning. They are going to move on from here, head on out. They're going to start tackling the Ranger Reckoning events like the teams before them. But it is currently the 4-hour, 41-minute mark. We've had 29 teams, or about 31 teams finish. We are waiting for 9 more teams to get their cans across the line for the opportunity to compete in the rest of the Day 1 Best Ranger competition. if you are just joining us, it is 4 hours and 4 hours and 42 minutes into the Best Ranger competition. We are here at Fort Benning, Georgia, Camp Rogers, where we are watching the 42nd annual Best Ranger competition. We've had 31 teams complete event number 1. That is right. Event number 1 is still going on, 4 hours and 42 minutes into the competition. We will have teams well over the 5-hour mark that will have to then continue on to the rest of the day. That means they will have already competed from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. and will be asked to go out onto Fort Benning, complete ranges, and be back here by about 6 p.m., where then they will start the night road march. It really never stops once this thing starts, and they are going to have to continuously move if they want to remain competitive and they want to try to win the 2026 Best Ranger competition. If you're just joining us and you've got any questions, you can drop them in the chat. Can you do a rundown of all the teams that finished buy-in? We will do that rundown of the teams that finished buy-in as soon as we get that information. We are only at 31 teams complete, so we are still waiting for the 40th team to complete to publish the official list. Once the official list is published, we will publish it here on this live stream, and also I will run through it manually a few times so you can hear it out loud, and then you can clip it, send it to somebody if you need to send it to somebody, or just know who has made it through the competition. We have only 31 teams that have made it through event 1. We are still waiting for teams 32 to 40 to make it through here, and then again, teams 41 to 61, Best Ranger competition will end today after event 1. We are only moving on with 40 teams into day 1 Ranger Reckoning. Let me tell you, I've been following this competition for several years now. This is probably one of the hardest opening sequences I have seen when you talk about what Rangers are being asked to do just on event 1. Event 1 is currently at the 4 hour and 44 minute mark. That is an incredible amount of time just for the first event, to be completed, and we are starting to get into the heat of the day. It is 10:17 a.m. local here. It is starting to get hot, and there are still teams doing event number 1. Event number 1 for some of these teams that are still finishing is going to be a 24, 25, 26 mile long event before they finish it. And then guess what? If you want to complete 13 events on day 1 at Ranger Reckoning, you are going to be asked to move 35 miles before the night road march, in addition to what you did this morning. So there are teams that will come back before the road march having 50, 55 miles on their feet, and they haven't even started the unknown distance ruck. I will get you that rundown of all the teams as they finish the buy-in as soon as we can get it. But again, we only have 31 teams across. We will not publish that list until we know the 40. And then once we have the 40, then we can confidently publish. These 40 are the ones moving on, and it's important for us to do that to set the conditions, to understand who's still in the competition and who's not, and so that you have the best possible information available. So right now, you should be seeing on the bottom left hand of your or bottom right hand of your screen. I don't know. It's like a mirror when I'm looking at it.
It's right about 66 degrees right now at 10:19. In 2 hours, it's going to be about 75 degrees.
But what I will tell you is
that compounds
and
can really crush you when you get to the highest part of the day, hottest part,
so you can see the finish line
part
camera
of the sun,
from the water
the UV
tank.
gets
you can see those guys up
They're
close
in a cloud in the sky, so you're hitting every piece of sun
below in your screen, and we're going to try to keep that running most of the day.
Team 12.
It should be located
there we go, 12.
The bottom of your screen.
Here we go, 12.
We'll try and keep that rocking and rolling so you can kind of see a split action view. But again, you can also choose to select to go to different live streams.
Here we go,
that we've got
5-4.
going on today. We're going to try to start pushing
Team
to ranges
54,
here
we got
shortly
Team
after
58.
we can figure out the cut here and then go cover the action out on Fort Benning.
Think about the psychological aspect as a
best
competitor
of the
when
Best
you're with
Ranger
your teammate.
competition. We were trying to
You're
improve this live stream every year. We're trying to get
front or
a little
pulling
bit
way
better,
ahead
a
of
little
them.
bit more robust.
It can kind of hurt you a
for
little
better
bit
coverage
mentally.
for those
So
of you
like,
who
if
have
you know you're the
Rangers
strong partner, get
competing
behind.
down here
Get behind,
and
push,
wanna
get behind,
witness
just let them pace.
what is America's best, competing against each other to be the best.
Training it that way too.
The best.
Team 44. We've seen 44 bunch.
Gotcha. 1 second. Let me talk to our audio guy. They say the audio's overlapping on the live stream. We'll try to get that figured out.
All right.
We right now are here. We have had 31 teams finish event 1. Again, event 1 is like a 3-event triage of events that includes, for the top teams, 14 miles. For the teams now finishing about 24, 25, 26 miles, depending on how often you dropped your water cans. That event, we've had 31 teams complete. We are waiting for 40 teams to complete this event. Those 40 teams will move on to Ranger Reckoning, which allows them to compete in the rest of day 1. They must complete this first event in order to move on to Ranger Reckoning in the top 40. That means we will go from 61 to 40 teams, and eventually throughout the weekend we will whittle our way down to the best 16 teams that came out here to Fort Benning, Georgia to compete for the best Ranger competition. I'm being told right now that we have 2 teams coming to the line right now. 32nd and 33rd team. We have team number 20 and team 42. Team 20 from 25th ID and team 42. Team 42 just across the line. 2 more teams have completed. We now have about 34 teams that have completed. We have 34 teams that have now completed it. We've got another team coming across the line right now. A great team of outstanding Ranger NCOs. Team 44, it looks like, crossing the line from MCOE. Let me get that right. Yes, that's MCOE. Team 44 just crossed the line. They are now complete. They have bought themselves the opportunity to compete in the rest of day 1. They are done with the buy-in event, and they can move on to Ranger Reckoning. Again, we've got about 34, 35 teams complete here right now. We are waiting for 40 teams to cross the line. We have about 4 or 5 more teams to go until we have 40 teams. 61 teams started. We're cutting down to 40 after this first buy-in event. Those teams that have completed this event have covered anywhere from 14 to 25 miles so far. And then they will be asked to go move along Fort Benning and cover even more. So what you're really seeing here is really just the start of the weekend. And this thing is going to build and get harder and harder and harder as the weekend goes on and as Rangers move further and further and further. If you are down here at Fort Benning, down here at Camp Rogers, there is a viewing center. There are bounce houses set up. There are nonstop activities. Come on down, check out the action, go out to a range, see your Rangers. If you're stationed here, what a great opportunity to see the Ranger community in action. Go head out around Fort Benning, watch these guys compete, and it is absolutely incredible to see these guys moving 24, 25 miles. And what they did this morning was really like a steady state effort. Get into the pocket, sit there, and just kind of hang. What they're going to be asked to do next is all sprint style activity. Think events that only last 3 to 10 minutes with the trick that they have to move in between those ranges. They've got a ruck everywhere. So a lot of time on feet today, a lot of movement between aerobic and anaerobic activity, a lot of movement between high levels of intensity and low levels of intensity. But that high intensity really chips away at the fitness they brought into this competition. And by the end of day 3, it's the teams that can still access that fitness that have the best chance of winning. And it really starts with how you take care of yourself today. I see a couple teams in the pit right now, and they are drinking some water. They are trying to cool themselves down. They're getting their equipment set, their map set, and then they're going to go ahead and move out across Fort Benning. Did 48 make it yet? Let me give you a check real quick. I do not know if 48 made it yet, but I will give it a check. Yes, 48 is still on the water carry. Team 58 just completed the water can carries. Team 58 is of the National Guard, First Lieutenant Sailor and Corporal Fox. Team 58, cleared of the water can carry has earned their buy-in and will compete in day 1 of the Best Ranger competition, the Ranger Reckoning. They will move along and continue to have the opportunity to compete. We have another team in the pit. We have about 5 more spots left until the 40-person cut occurs, or the 40-team cut occurs. We've got Rangers from divisions all across the Army here competing to be America's best Rangers, and we will find out by the end of the weekend who gets to hoist the pistols over their head. Oh! We've got Candace Bryant. Can we get another microphone set up here? Oh, yes. Absolutely.
So what are you doing?
We're just doing a live show.
Yeah.
Yeah?
You're doing it live now?
Yeah, we live right.
I'll do whatever you think
You want to come stand like right around here? We'll flip the camera around real quick. All right, so I am joined right now by an absolute legend of the Ranger community. I'm here with Candace Bryant, maybe the founder of like the modern day Best Ranger competition.
Yeah.
When exactly did you get involved in the competition?
You know, Colonel Barron is here today, who was commander back in 2000, and he's the one that brought me in to the competition. So 2000.
2000.
2000.
And you've been at almost every competition from 2000 until today. You've seen it really grow and develop. What's kind of changed? What's stayed the same? What do you like about this weekend?
I'll tell you what, this year I'm all discombobulated. I feel like I'm part of the old guard crowd. I'm like, what is happening? I'm not exactly sure who to watch or what to do or where to go. So I would say there's been a lot of changes over the years.
There has been a lot of changes, absolutely. This first event has taken teams 4 hours and 53 minutes to complete.
Isn't that crazy?
That is remarkable.
It's insane.
I think in terms of like, if people finish a marathon in 4 hours and 53 minutes, they go take a nap.
Yeah.
What do these Rangers do throughout the weekend? What do you like to watch throughout the weekend as this thing kind of moves along and
what do I like to
builds?
watch
Yeah.
in the Rangers that are competing?
Absolutely.
Oh, I just love to watch like the mental attitude. It's amazing to me. So like Ranger Colazos is here. Got a great relationship. He competed back in the early 90s, right?
Yeah.
Every picture that you see of him, he's
Ladies and
smiling.
gentlemen, correction.
No matter where
Team
he is, you know,
58
out doing the
across.
stuff, he's looking and he's
Ladies,
smiling
35th
and cheesing for the camera.
teams
And it's like
across.
that. Those are the
Team
folks that
58.
came prepared,
Yeah.
right? They're prepared to do it, and I love to watch. I
Yeah.
love to watch that evolution of people just having fun with it because
Absolutely.
they're came in 100% prepared
Yeah.
to embrace the suck.
Absolutely. I think, you know, like in warfare, it's a test of skill and will this weekend. And you can see the guys that really have the will with the positive attitude from the start. They don't let, you know, one thing kind of like wear them down or upset them. We just keep moving along and keep continuing the mission.
Yeah.
All right, we have another team across the line right now. Team 45. They are the 36th team. We are still waiting for 4 more teams to cross the line, but that is Team 45 across the line of the first event. Candace, thanks so much for coming out today.
Thank you
It's
for
great to
letting
see
me
you
be
again.
here.
And
Yeah.
anytime you want to hop on,
All
come
right.
give us the experience of all those years. And
Okay.
let us know what's happening
Yeah,
behind the scenes.
that's
It's great to see you again.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate you for giving back, continuing to show up for the community, and that's how this continues to grow and evolve and just continue to be the amazing standard that everybody else looks up to and wants to be.
Absolutely.
So thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's great to see you.
Thank you what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll try to keep making it bigger. You know, we'll keep making it bigger and trying to get more and more people into this community just to watch it and enjoy it.
Well, let's stay in touch too. just
Absolutely.
offline.
Yes. Yes.
I'll be watching.
Sounds good. Has Team 16 went through? Let me give it a check that I know. I believe Team 16 is clear, but if someone could confirm on Black Ohm. If you are just joining us, we are here for the 42nd annual David E. Grange Best Ranger competition. If you are looking for some more information, you can download the Guide On app. The Guide On app will have your schedule of events for the weekend. It will also have access to the Black Ohm website. The Black Ohm website has trackers on all the Rangers and can show you physically where they're at. So whether you're trying to intercept them at a range and understand where they're going, or you just want an idea of how this thing is spreading out across Fort Benning, use the Black Ohm app, but please when you go to the Guide On app, just copy and paste that username and password in, because if we get too many incorrect attempts, it does a temporary lockout of everybody. The up-to-date rank will be placed on the screen once the buy-in is complete for everybody to know. So once buy-in is complete, we will place the up-to-date rankings on the screen, and then I believe we're going to start refreshing those as we get them from RTB. So as ranges start occurring, they're going to start updating scoring, but the first primary score we're waiting for is the score from the buy-in event. We are 4 hours and 57 minutes into the event. And we are still in Event 1, waiting for Event 1 to wrap up, finish up, so that we can move along to Ranger Reckoning. We have Rangers in the pit right now that are setting their equipment, getting their maps, getting their weapons, getting their team member ready to move out and compete for Ranger Reckoning and the chance to be crowned the best Ranger this year. There are plenty of legends out here this weekend that I've seen moving around. We have Command Sergeant Major Fouts is out here this weekend. He won with Command Sergeant Major Payne. I believe Command Sergeant Major Payne's coming out this weekend. We have Major Bergman out here this weekend. I see Sergeant Major Klein, who's competed many times, out here this weekend. Sergeant Major Echevarrio's out here this weekend. We have guys, Sergeant First Class Whitney's out here this weekend. We have guys that have competed multiple times, a wealth of knowledge, a lot of fine Ranger NCOs that I know I looked up to as a young Ranger officer, and that are out here today with teams or without teams, just either supporting the community or giving guys those little tidbits of information or coaching tips that are going to help them complete events and be successful. We have 36 teams through Event 1. We are 4 hours and 58 minutes into the competition, and we are waiting until we have the top 40 teams through here. Once we have that, the scoring system will do a quick rack and stack. That will take a few minutes, and then we will publish those names right here on the screen for you to see, so you can understand which 40 teams are moving on to do Ranger Reckoning and the best Ranger competition. If you have any questions throughout the weekend, you can drop them in the chat, and we can try to help you out here. Team 16 is on the move. They are in Martin's Range currently. Thank you so much, Katrina. We're gonna have to start sending you some Ranger swag as a thank you for all the work you're putting in the chat right now. Right now there are teams getting set in the pit, and I see them putting their body armor in their rucksacks as well. An interesting thing they did this year was they allowed competitors to bring whatever fuel and hydration they wanted and really pack their rucks however they wanted. So what I'm seeing from Team 58 right now, they're in the pit, they're going through their ruck. I saw them both eat, they both drank, they both appeared to mix something into their canteens, probably some sort of hydration support material, and now they're putting their body armor into their rucksack as well. So that rucksack, even if you pack light, is probably going to weigh around 40 pounds for the rest of the day. They're going to be in long sleeves, 40 pounds, full combat load, with their weapons, moving out here pretty shortly, and they're going to have to move all day if they want to get points. Ranger Reckoning, again, 13 events. Each event, you are eligible to get 40 points if you win. Every time you win an event, you get 40 points. If you take second, you get 39, third, 38, so on and so forth to 1 point. The more points you have, the better you're going to do, because at the end of the weekend, whoever has the most points throughout the competition is going to win the best Ranger competition. We have people still out on Event 1. We are now officially at the 5-hour mark. This competition began at 6 a.m. and we are at the about 5:30 a.m. We are at the 5-hour mark right now. It is 10:34 a.m. local. You will have teams complete this event around 11 a.m. They will have to go get their ruck. They will have to go move out to Fort Benning, complete ranges, be back here by 6 p.m., and then they're going to have to go out and do a unknown distance foot march tonight. What's really incredible about this is the top team finished at about 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's now 5 hours and 1 minute. That means there's about a 2 hour and 40 minute advantage between the top team right now and the teams that are still on the course. Those teams have likely already completed 1 or 2 range events, but again, we can't get those scores until we first score this and understand who's moving forward into the rest of Ranger Reckoning, and then hopefully we can start pulling that live score update for you guys and placing it right on the screen here. Team 42 is in the pit, setting up to leave. Absolutely, yes. We saw Team 42 come through a while ago. They were looking great. They're looking great. Let me see if I can see them in the pit where they're at right now. Yes, they've got their rucksacks rocking and rolling right now. They've got them open. Looks like they're packing up right now, and they should be moving out here pretty quick. We've got 4ID moving out right now. Yeah, we got 4ID Team 8 moving out of the pit right now into Ranger Reckoning. That is First Lieutenant Holt and First Lieutenant Lombardi of the 4th Infantry Division moving out to start Ranger Reckoning, to really get into the beef of day one. You are talking about a team that's already covered 22, 23 miles, and they're going to get started moving here. The wind is starting to pick up here at Fort Benning, so although it's getting hot, we are getting a little wind. That wind can affect some of the ranges. When you talk about shooting black powder at a distance, or you're talking about long gun out to a kilometer, that wind can start to play a factor. And we're looking at about 20 miles an hour, or 20 mile an hour winds later in the day that can really start to affect the way competitors shoot out there. So we'll keep tabs on that, but right now it is getting warm. We're probably at about 70, 75 degrees right now. We've got another 10 degrees to go to the high of the day, and it's going to keep getting hotter all the way until about 2 or 3 o'clock when competitors are really going to be in the Georgia sun. There's not much coverage out there on the course for them, so as they move around the course, they're really going to be exposed to the sun. You're going to see them getting very, very hot, and they're going to have to take care of themselves constantly and consistently in order to make some really sound decisions about how fast can we move, how far should we move, when should we go back to the Ranger pit, which is also going to be the ruck hold location for tonight before we get into the night road march. So a lot of moving pieces here right now. Again, I think we've got we're waiting for 3 more teams to cross to get to the 40 team cut, and once we have that 40 team cut, we will let you know exactly who they are. Team 61, I have not seen Team 61 cross the line, I believe. I don't believe I've called them out. Yes, Team 14 made it through. They are on to Ranger Reckoning and moving along. We have teams continuing to turn around and push. They are continuing to move. You've got teammates out here really supporting each other, really trying to push each other, really trying to drive to be in that top 40 to continue to compete at the best Ranger competition. I'm looking right now. Yep, Team 14 definitely through 10th Mountain Division. Doing pretty well as a team, too, right now. And yes, yeah, I also believe that Team 61 is still on the water can carry event according to the notes I have in front of me. And I apologize for keep looking down, trying to look at the chat, also trying to figure out sometimes where these guys are, what they're doing, and try to give you the best information possible. But we've got teams moving out onto the long haul event. We are still waiting for at some of the shooting events that are going on there. Try to pull on some legends of the Ranger community that we see walking around. Get them on for an interview, and then get back here for tonight, where we see them come through Malvesti as a whole, which is always a fantastic event to watch, and then cheer them on as they step off for the unknown distance road march. So the established comms event for Team 14 that's out there right now is an HF shot. So that is a high frequency radio where you have to establish a long whip antenna and then establish a call out to another radio that's placed somewhere on Fort Benning. They give you an azimuth, you establish your antenna, and then you try to make the call. The app to monitor where your team is Black Ohm, but you can really get there through the Guidon app. Download the Guidon app. It will give you a schedule for the day. It will also give you the login information for the Black Ohm app. Please just copy and paste that username and password into the Black Ohm app so that everyone has the opportunity to log in. If we get too many failed login attempts, we have to kind of reset the system, and then temporarily people can't log in, and it's frustrating. So please copy and paste that from the Guidon app into the Black Ohm app so that you can't mess up the username and password, and we can keep that thing flowing for everybody. Once you're logged into it, please just keep that browser open in your phone so you just stay logged into the system and you can consistently track where those people are. Now, when we cut to break after the 40-man split, I will get my laptop rocking and rolling from now on with Black Ohm on my laptop so I can see that on my screen. And then as people ask questions, I can just let you know exactly where they're at.
37th team finishing here, coming down the line. Team 56.
Here comes our 37th team across the line.
Cheer 'em on, push 'em
Team
through.
56.
National Guard.
Team 56 of the National Guard is across the line. Team 56 across the line in 37th place for event number 1. So that means we need 3 more teams to finish the first event until we go down to our 40-team cut. Ranger Reckoning has already begun, so the teams that finished almost 2.5 hours ago are already out on course doing the ranges, completing the ranges. But we now have 37 teams that are through this event and are going to move on to Ranger Reckoning. Team 2, I also believe, is still on the water can carriers. I have not seen them come through here yet, but we will keep an eye open. Again, we were waiting for 3 more teams to cross through this. If your team is not in the next 3 teams and you're watching this, the teams that are 41st to 61st in this event are going to get cut. And we are going to go down to 40 teams. Only the top 40 teams will advance into Ranger Reckoning. Then throughout the weekend, we'll continue to cut down to about 16 teams. Well, not about, to exactly 16 teams are going to finish the Best Ranger competition on day 3. It is such an accomplishment to even be out here today, competing against the top 1% of the 1% of the 1%. And these Rangers have been selected by their units to compete here today against the other best guys and Rangers in the Army. So I mean, it is absolutely something to be proud of. Whether you come out here and you're 61st or you come out here and you're first, it is an incredible opportunity. It is an incredible train up. It is an incredible event to be a part of, and it's an incredible accomplishment to even just raise your hand and say, hey, the hardest endurance event and military event in the world, yeah, I want to go do it. I want to go try it. I want to go try and win.
Team 54 and Team 15 finishing up. They're going to be our 38th and 39th finisher if they can get to the line.
We've got our 38th and 39th finishers coming to the line. Our 38th and 39th finishers. So I've got Team 54. Team 54 is in sight from USASOC.
All right, cheer them on all the way through. Team 54 representing the United States Army Special Operations Command.
There's Team 54 across the line from USASOC. Team 54 across the line from USASOC. So a lot of these teams that are here competing today have trained up for about 3-4 months. Some teams have trained up for a year in order to compete here. So when you talk about the caliber of athlete that's out here, Rangers have put a lot of time and effort into preparing for this weekend. And what you see this weekend is really just a celebration of all the hard work that they've put in with their Ranger buddy, with one of their best friends, to be out here to compete against the other best teams in the Army. Team 15.
The 10th Mountain Division, First Lieutenant Merrill and First Lieutenant Digginen.
Team 15 is through event.
39th team.
Team 15, event 1 done. They're the 39th team across the line. We have 1 more team to cross this line to cut down into 40 people, to 40 teams. It looks like we have a couple teams headed this way, but there is some space. I see 1 team with their water cans about 250 meters down the road. So we'll see. They'll probably have to drop them again. And then they're going to continue movement here. But it is going to come down to the wire of who the 40th team is going to be to cross this line and survive the day 1 first cut in order to move on to the rest of the Best Ranger competition. Again, we've got a team about 200 meters out. They are still carrying strong, so if they can carry them in 100 meters, do a quick sprint back and forth, they can likely make the 40-team cut. But we are about to cut down from 61 teams to 40 teams, and as we get that official cut list, we will put it into the live stream so that you can see exactly who is moving on to compete in the rest of day 1. That team that I saw approaching is Team 6. They have dropped their cans. They are going to the turnaround point now. They will go back to their cans, so they got about 100 meters to run They've got to go get their cans then again, and they've got to finish off that 100 meters. But by this time, they've been carrying those cans for 3 hours, and their grip has to be absolutely hurting, and they've got to push through it. And so you're going to see these guys return to those cans, probably say a nice word to the water cans, and then they're going to finish off this event. They're going to get through that line, and they're going to be one of the 40 teams moving on to compete in Ranger Reckoning and day 1 of the Best Ranger competition. I'm continuing to keep my eyes on them. They've made it back to the cans. They've made it back to the cans. I see a competitor from Team 6 is moving this way right now. Looks like will be the final team to complete the day 1 iteration. 40 teams are moving on. We will have 40 teams compete at the rest of day 1 Best Ranger competition. Here we go. Team 6 moving. Them a little bit. We'll pan the camera a little bit to them. They're representing the 3rd Infantry Division. There's one member of Team 6. The other member of Team 6 there, you can see his grip. He is trying with everything he's got to hang on to those cans. They are going to be the 40th team across the line. They will survive the cut. Team 6 of 3rd ID moves on to Ranger Reckoning. Here we go. Team 6, the 40th team to cross the line. That is going to be our day 1 cuts. They will move on to compete in the rest of Ranger Reckoning and day 1 Best Ranger competition. Now it'll be up to them to go out onto Fort Benning to cover some distance, cover some ground, cover some movement, and then try to see who will be the Best Ranger team at the end of this weekend. All right, so that is going to be our top 40 teams. We'll wait here to try to get a confirmation of the cut of the top 40 teams into the day 1. We will post that here in this live stream for all of you to see. It will likely also be posted at MCOE's website and the National Ranger Association's Facebook pages. You can go to their Facebook pages. I would just, create those as home tabs right now for this weekend so that you can stay up to date with all things Best Ranger competition going on this weekend. Once we get that cut, teams are out now moving on into Ranger Reckoning. They're going to leave the pit. They've got 13 events that they're eligible to go to. Those are technical, tactical, cognitive, and physical events. They're going to move out of this pit, go cover distance in Fort Benning, but they can pick whatever events they want to go to. They can play to their strengths. They can try to complete as many as possible. Each event has the same weight. So if you win an event, you get 40 points. If you're last place in an event, you're only going to receive 1 point. And it is 40 down to 1 through the entire competition. Team with the most points at the end of the weekend is going to win. You get points. Every event is scored independently, so as you gather points throughout the weekend, if you're the best team there and you can get 40 points and start stacking some performances like that, you can begin to build a lead or build position. But they're going to have 13 events which they're eligible to go to. Last year in this format, the top teams were only completing about 10 or 11 of those events, either choosing not to go to something that maybe wasn't their strength or deciding, hey, that range is too far away to get to, because they do have a no later than time to get back here. They got to be back here about 5 or 6 p.m., so they're going to have to make some decisions, especially some of these teams that finished at the 5 hour and 15 minute mark are going to have to make decisions of how long do we want to stay out there. We got to get back here. We got to get prepared for the night road march, and the Georgia heat is starting to climb. We've got a little bit of a breeze here today, which will help the Rangers out on course, but there is definitely still some heat building. They have just officially corded off the pit of the Best Ranger competition, which means any team that finishes now will not be eligible to compete in the remainder of day 1. It is an unfortunate part of this competition, an unfortunate reality of the competition, that there can only be one Best Ranger and there can only be 16 finishers at the end of this weekend. And so there are teams here that have trained their hearts out for the last 3 or 4 months and that will find their competition ended right here after the first event and about 5 hours of competition. But the competition is not going to stop here. We got about 55 hours left of the Best Ranger competition, and this thing is going to roll just about all weekend. We have now 40 teams out on course for Ranger Reckoning. Those teams are going to spread out across Fort Benning, If you need to see where your ranger's at, download the Guide On app, log on to the Black Ohm app. Please use the login and password from the Guide On app to log into Black Ohm. You can track exactly where your ranger is and where the whole competition kind of spreads out to in this location. So go onto that app, download the Black Ohm, or get onto Black Ohm, see where your competitor's at. You can follow them. If you're down here at Fort Benning, that's the best way to intercept them, because they get to choose the order in which they're going to go complete events. And so we can't tell you, hey, Team 41 is going to this range. We don't know. Only they will make that decision based on their team's plan. And so if you want to go try to intercept them at a range, or go see, if you can watch them do something, you got to have the Black Ohm app. And the best way to log in to that is through the Guide On app. So download Guide On app, and then download or go to Black Ohm, use that username and password, copy and paste it straight in so that we don't lock ourselves out. And then you can track the remainder of the competition from there. We are waiting for the official word on cuts from 61 teams down to 40 teams for the remainder of the 2026 Best Ranger competition. There are Rangers moving all over this place right now, and it is a pretty fantastic weekend for the Ranger competition.
Representing the 11th Airborne Division, Staff Sergeant Markham and Special
So, in true Ranger fashion, even though these teams cannot compete in the rest of Day 1 Ranger Reckoning, they are still pushing themselves to finish the first event. It is pretty remarkable to see the absolute grit. Team 18, the 41st team to cross the line, will not compete in the remainder of Day 1, but they have completed the first event, and they drove through even though they knew that they would not be allowed to move on to Ranger Reckoning. That is what this weekend's all about. Never quitting, never surrendering, continuing to push, even when it's stacked against you. They have done a phenomenal job pushing each other, pushing themselves, and moving on, or moving through that first event. We are waiting for the official word for cuts. We are going to cut from 61 teams down to 40. If you saw your team come through, they're good. If you haven't seen your team come through, they will not continue on to Ranger Reckoning. Ranger Reckoning is the rest of Day 1, Part 1. It is going to be 13 events spread around Fort Benning, and they're going to move around Fort Benning, conquering different ranges, different physical tasks and challenges all weekend until we crown the two-man team that will be considered the best Rangers this weekend. We've got a little bit of temperature climbing right now. We've got Rangers walking all around. We've got the wonderful RIs of ARTB have put on, again, another world-class event. The Ranger community really descends upon Fort Benning, Georgia, during this time of year, during the Best Ranger competition, and they put on a world-class event, making sure that Rangers are safe, taken care of, but also making sure that the event itself is absolutely grueling, as is testament to a 5-hour and 10-minute long event number 1 just to get 40 teams through, really testing the grit and the resilience of competitors this weekend. Again, this weekend is largely about will and skill, and teams are going to have to show that they have the will to continue to fight and the skill to get through these events if they want to try to compete long-term in the competition. I've got cameras headed now to a couple of the ranges. I know they're trying to go live. Please bear with us. The connection out at Fort Benning is not always the greatest at some of these ranges, so we've got to work through some connectivity issues and some placement issues as we get cameras set out and cameras put along the way to view some of these more high-octane events. But we have a great crew out here. We've got Jay Brand, who's been covering, coaching, or competing in this competition for 13 years, and Blaine competed and won competed in 1992, won in 1993, an absolute legend, still out here, still fit enough to compete himself, and he is running and gunning with a camera, and we look forward to his commentary and coverage throughout the weekend. We're pushing them out to the ranges right now, but again, takes a while to get established, takes a while to get connectivity, and we're still waiting for that cut from 61 down to 40 if you're just joining us. For those of you that are in the Georgia area, you should know that today things are really spread out. So you're going to need the Guide On app, and you're going to need to put in what range you need to go to. in order to really get there. So download the Guide On app. It'll have the schedule of events, which will tell you what range things are at. Then use the Black Ohm app to try and intercept your ranger and go to the range that they're at. But you're going to need that Guide On app to reliably maneuver around post. Black Ohm will also allow you to see how this thing spreads out throughout the day. In order for competitors to complete 13 events, they're going to have to cover about 35 miles of movement across this Ranger Reckoning. So although they just completed 14 to 26 miles, depending on how they placed here today, they're going to have to cover another 35 if they want those 13 events. Some teams will choose to only go to 5 events or 6 events. Some teams will have to make a decision when they're at event 8 of, hey, we have to get back here, because there's a no later than time back here at Camp Rogers of, I believe, 6 or 7 p.m. And there's one final event here at Camp Rogers they have to do, and that's the Malvesti obstacle course, known to every ranger that's been down here. You're going to knock out 6 chin-ups. You got a rope climb, a vertical ladder, monkey bars, a mud pit, and then 6 more chin-ups. And then you're going to run back to the pit where the ruck hold is for the night. Then they will enter the unknown distance ruck march, really one of the pinnacles of the competition, really one of the most difficult nights of the competition for a lot of competitors. And then if you think they're going to sleep after that and reset, they're not. They're immediately going to go into night 6. They're going to continue to push themselves cognitively, technically, tactically, and physically in order to try and see who the best ranger is. It's really a remarkable feat. And then if you think they're going to take tomorrow off, they're not. If you're in the area, maybe you're working today, maybe you can't be here today, but you want to come check it out, tomorrow we're going to be at Building 4 all day. It is a fantastic time to come out. The whole ranger community is going to be out there. We're going to have some food trucks out there, some activities for kids out there, and also just high-octane events from the Best Ranger competition going out there throughout the entire day. We'll be live there tomorrow covering that action and really giving the updated scores as they progress through the night into day 2. And then day 2 is going to end with the night orienteering, or the night land navigation course, one of the toughest events in the Best Ranger competition, because it is really a choose your own adventure, cover as much ground as you can. You have no idea how fast other teams are moving or where they're going or what they're doing, so it's really up to you. And then you're going to cycle into day 3, and day 3 is filled with just fast-paced, super hard events that are really, really difficult on the body. And you've already moved 80 or 90 miles and still asked to do those. We are going to wrap up Sunday at the National Infantry Museum. That'll happen sometime in the afternoon, generally around 1 or 2 p.m. But if you're looking to see the finish and the iconic pictures of these guys crossing the line with their rifles held above their head, come on out to the National Infantry Museum and see these guys compete, finish the 2026 Best Ranger competition, where we will crown one team as the 2026 Best Rangers. What's that? We are trying to still get set here. We are waiting for confirmation of the top 40 cuts from ARTB. We are sending a text right now to our backside team to see how fast we can pull that. Once we get that data, we will bring it to you. I want to just note that there are still teams out there competing to finish the first event. They are saying, hey, I don't care that I can't move on to Ranger Reckoning. I'm going to still complete this first event. And if that doesn't show you the grit and the commitment of the Ranger community, I don't know what does. Even in the face of certain adversity, we see teams still pushing each other, saying, hey, buddy, we trained all this time. We trained hard together. We're here together. We are going to get this thing done. And they are out there still pushing themselves to the limit to finish event 1. The competition's been going on now for 5 hours and 25 minutes. We've got teams out at various ranges across Fort Benning. I just was told that we've got teams way up north already, getting close to like the obstacle courses and the Prusik climb. If you're unfamiliar with those events, they are phenomenal to watch. The Prusik climb is a climb up a vertical static rope in which you tie on 2 other ropes to that rope and you ascend it in a Versa climber manner to the top. And then you have to complete the WTC obstacle course, about a 22 obstacle long obstacle course that stretches about a mile through the National Guard Training Center. Very dense, in the amount of obstacles you're asked to do, very challenging. That is one of the premier events of the day today. It is a phenomenal event to watch, and I know there are people out there cheering on those guys right now, and there are rangers headed that direction pretty close to being executing that. So if you're here down at Columbus, could be something to go check out closer to Main Post than down here at Rogers. We've got a team approaching the finish line right now. Again, they will not move on to Ranger Reckoning. However, they are still showing us what it means to be a Ranger, and the never quit attitude, the grit and resilience required in this community. They are going to finish this thing, and they are going to, yep, there's Team 12, finishing across the line regardless of what comes next. That is what being a Ranger is all about. Props to those guys, hearts of champions. That is phenomenal work, and that is something that they can still be absolutely proud of. That would be fantastic. All right, so. Yeah, that would be great. We've got 40 teams. 40 teams are through here. They're out on Ranger Reckoning. I'm about to take a quick break. I'm going to pass you off to Jimmy Moore here in a few minutes so I can go use the restroom. But when we come back, we are going to try to get the cuts, the official Team 40 scores, and we will talk with a few of the past competitors that we can get on here. We're going to go to the 40-man cut. We're going to try to post that right here in the live stream. As soon as we get it, it will also be posted to the MCOE's and the National Ranger Association's Facebook pages. So if you're wondering where you can find this, MCOE Maneuver Center of Excellence Facebook page and the National Ranger Association Facebook page will be updating the scoring as it comes in to both of those locations. Go take a look. Go monitor it. Something to note, there's teams in the pit right now. Like I said, it is starting to get hot today. You are starting to see teams deliberately cool in an ice chest in order to cool down their bodies and prepare for movement out of the pit. We still have about 4 teams in the pit. Once those 4 teams are out of the pit, Ranger Reckoning has officially begun with all the eligible teams to compete it, and they will have about 35 more miles today to cover if they want to cover the 13 available events at Ranger Reckoning. Temperature is starting to climb, the sun's starting to come out. You are seeing guys in the pit apply sunscreen, take care of themselves, try to wet down a little bit, and they're going to get moving out here pretty soon. But I'm going to pass you off to up-to-date rank will be placed on the screen once the buy-in is complete. So we are still waiting for the official ranking, but as we get it, we'll publish it right here. I'm going to pass you guys off to Jimmy Moore briefly so I can go to the bathroom, and then maybe I'll come back and hang out with Jimmy for a little bit.
Hey, thanks, Vince. Hey, remind me how many teams we have across the line so far. I know we're past the 40 cut.
We've got about 42 teams across the line.
42 teams across the line.
Teams trying to get there.
Yeah, great. Well, hey, we're passing off from the varsity to the JV squad here. Let Vince take a little bit of a break. Phenomenal telecasting from Vince describing everything that's going on this morning. So for those of you who are joining us, we still have Rangers out on the first event. We're at 5 hours and 30 minutes for the first event. Longest, most arduous event that has ever started off the Best Ranger competition. This buy-in event it's something else. One of the positive things though is I think this is the closest I've ever seen family members and fans getting to spend time with their ranger as they're out on the course. There's a lot of people cheering them on, running with them, giving them some insights on what place they think they're in, and it's just absolute, in a good way, it's absolute chaos out here trying to figure out how many water cans there are, who's running back, where they are on the course, who they need to catch, who they need to keep their eye on, how they're fueling, how they're taking in water, what their plan is moving forward, how they're thinking about the rest of the day. There's a lot of great discussions happening here with family members and coaches, and it's just something fresh and new to the competition that's really special, and I think it's been I think that some competitors have been missing it the last couple years. So yeah, we're at 42 teams across the finish line so far, and I'm sure Vince mentioned it, but one of the special things that we have going on right now is that even though the cut's been made, we have teams that are still saying they want to fight on to the Ranger objective. They're going to complete the mission, and it doesn't matter if they're going to be cut after this. They want to finish this initial buy-in event with their teammate. They want to lock in a place, even if it's 42, even if it's 43. They want to see where they stand amongst the best in the Army, because for all of these guys out here this weekend, they are the men in the arena. All right, they're the ones who have put in all the hard work over the last few months. The families have done put immense amount of support into them to help them to get to this point. And this here is a celebration of the hard work and the skill of these teams, even if they don't get to continue on in the competition. And we're going to get to see all these other incredible events today. You know, ranges, some obstacle courses. There's going to be some ranger skills. And that's all really exciting, but it's also special to see that there's teams out here that, although they know that there's a cut that is inevitably coming, they're still trying to figure out, how do we lock in our place? Is it going to be 43? Is it going to be 44? Is it going to be 60? 61? If all 61 teams were still in the competition, and so something special that you might not see other places, but you will 100% see it here at the Best Ranger competition. So we're at 5 hours and 32 minutes. We've got a team who is currently on their way back, and they're about to go back out towards their cans. The updates are going to come a little bit slower than they have been recently. I'm not gonna kid you. It is hot out here. The competitors are smoked. A lot of competitors, they had a fueling plan for about 3 to 4 hours. 5.5 hours in, that fueling plan has definitely changed. We're seeing competitors on the course refilling Camelbacks, not from their water cans, of course. Refilling Camelbacks. They're going into their emergency stores for their gels, for whatever food that they have that they brought to support them before they get to their equipment to continue on with Ranger Reckoning. They have to finish this first event before they can get to their equipment, which has some more food, which has some more sustenance. And so that ability to plan for and conduct an analysis on how long they anticipated this event to last, it is influencing some teams and their ability to move on in this competition. Some things to think that teams are thinking about as they're prepping for this event is how many balance of carbs, fats, proteins, what they want to have in their system when they start, what they want to have on their person, what they want to have in their Camelback. They're loaded up at the beginning of the competition, but they also want to stay light, because they got to run, they got to swim, they got to carry water cans. There's a whole lot of things that they have to do, and so it's a balance. They're trying to figure out how much stuff do I pack to get me to the point where I can be performing optimally before I get to my gear, before I can refuel, before I can move on to the next objective. And those miscalculations happen. They happen here in the competition. They happen here in real life. And regardless, they're positive lessons learned for our Rangers out here that hopefully they take back to their formations, and they make stronger soldiers, stronger Rangers as a result of lessons learned here. I know that a typical balance that these Rangers are looking for is they're looking for about anywhere from 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrates every 30 minutes. So that means to give you an example, if you ever have like one of those like little goo packets, those little goo packets off the top of my head are about 60 grams of carbohydrates. So if you were to have to be able to last this 5 hours 34 minutes, let's just say you did a goo every 45 minutes, you would need 2 goos every 90 minutes times 4 to get you to like 3 hours or something like that, and we're coming up on hour 6. So I think at this point you'd probably be at like 10 to 16 goos, which is not sustainable. That's when you start getting your stomach ache. You start to maybe want something a little bit more solid. You start to have issues with balancing your water intake, your electrolyte intake. There's a lot of kind of like mental math these Rangers are doing behind the scenes to figure out. Am I overhydrating? Am I under? What's my sodium intake? What's my fat intake? Do I have protein that's coming into my body for extended operations over 2 to 3 hours? A lot of Rangers most likely didn't have like some type. If they're smart, they're going to have at least one protein item to get them past that 3-4 hour mark, to get them over the hump before they get back to their equipment. There's a whole lot of benefits that you can get from just packing a main meal, an MRE main meal, into your Camelback to really get the sustenance that you need. We got another team that is making their way to the finish line. As a turnaround, they're not finishing yet. That's team number 10 from 4th ID, and they're heading back out to their water cans. like I said earlier, we've had 42 teams so far make it across the finish line. We have the teams that are still competing are still going to be, although the cut is happening at 40 teams, the teams are still going to be trying to place themselves in the Best Ranger competition, because in the end, they want to know how do they stack up against their fellow competitors. I'm going to take a look at the comments here, just check in, see if there's any questions you guys have. Keep in mind, a lot of this information is in real time, so we don't have the best information. We usually wait for scores to be official, to be compiled. This is more just to provide a form of commentary, form of entertainment, as you guys are trying to keep track of what is going on in the competition, what is the competition all about, what are competitors experiencing this weekend, and then if you want to see specific events, you got to tune into other live streams on the Best Ranger Competition YouTube channel to see what is going on at Krilling Range, what is going on across the different Ranger Reckoning events. So give me 1 second, I'm gonna review the chat here. All right, somebody asked, what about Team 2? I did see Team 2's cans out on the course. They are still out on the course, to the best of my knowledge. Please don't quote me on this. I just came off the course not too long ago, and I think the team that the last team that came in was Team 6, and then there was a team, I think it was like 14 or something, that came in shortly after Team 6, and then I believe Team 54 was one of the teams that came in most recently. And as soon as I see which team's cans are getting closest, I'll start to call those out. The 82nd Airborne Division did make the 40-team cut. I don't know if every single team made it, but I believe their lead team, Team 22, did make the cut. They were leading for most of the initial run events in the run, swim, run. They fell back a few places on the carry, but they really sustained their positioning, and they certainly made the cut to move on to Ranger Reckoning. They were one of the top 20 teams, I believe, for the Water King, for the buy-in event. Status on Team 26. I wish I had all the teams in my head. So Team 26, I believe, is a 101st team. Team 26, I believe, finished top 20 in the carry event as well, or excuse me, in the buy-in event as well, and moved on to Ranger Reckoning. So Team 26 moved on to Ranger Reckoning probably about 90 minutes ago at this point. Catching up on some previous comments, questions about Team 2. We went over Team 2. Somebody said Team 19 is on Krilling Range. Somebody says go Team 28. Team 28 appears to still be on the water carry. Let's go Team 45. Crying, you made it. Good job, 45. Let's go 43. Let's go Team 14. Juan Bonet, Team 11, came in at 21st. They are at Martin Range. Thanks, Juan. Appreciate you staying on top of it. It is really hard to keep intelligent conversation going this long. Well done. Yeah, thank you. I don't know if I would call it intelligent conversation, but I'll just keep going nonetheless. Team 12, thank you. Let me see. I'll see if I see anything about Team 12. How's more Team 9 doing? Team 9, I saw Team 9's cans did not make it very far on the course. I think there was a Okay. I think there was a medical situation with Team 9, and then Team 60 is also showing at Wet and Hall. Yep. If you're seeing the black ohm data populating somewhere close to here, it's probably a fair assessment that team is going through something administratively. Whether they're being considered for a cut, whether they're being considered medically, whether they're being considered to move on. So yeah, that black ohm data is beneficial to see where your team is and what they might be doing, especially if you're a family member or a fan that's out here at Fort Benning this weekend trying to catch somebody out at a range and see what's going on. You can just check black ohm. You can see where your competitor's at, and then you can meet them at that event. As Vince has mentioned, you download the Guidon app for betting. You put in the range that you want to go to. You put in the location that your competitor's at. You can go. It'll guide you to go see that competitor. The cool thing about Ranger Reckoning is they're spreading competitors all across the training areas here, and so there's not going to be there can still be some bottlenecks that happen at certain events depending on what the strategy of the competitors are, but they spread out, whereas in previous years sometimes all the competitors go through the exact same events, and if you're team 6, for instance, who came in at 40th place right before the cut, team 6 is 40th in line for Krilling range, and it can create a backlog. And so the Ranger Reckoning, there's a strategy piece to it where the teams are figuring out, they might even have a strategy of like, hey, if we're in the top 10, we're gonna go to Krilling range. If we're in the bottom 10, we're gonna go further, we're gonna go to Patton. If we're in the middle 10, we might do this. And so a lot of teams have their primary, alternate, maybe even some contingency strategies for if we're placing here, or if our day is going this way, or if our fueling plan is going to plan or not going to plan, we're going to flex. That's the special thing about Ranger Reckoning. And so it's constant decision making on the part of the competitors to constantly be assessing how they're doing physically, how they're doing fueling wise, how they're doing in a competition wise relative to other competitors. So they're weighing all those things continuously for the 72-hour event. So I got Vince here. He's going to provide me a little bit of relief, or maybe we'll just spend some time chatting about what's happened so far in the competition.
Sounds good. Welcome back. It's good to be
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Good to have you.
Jimmy, how tough do you think this first event on day one was?
It was incredibly tough. I mean, like you and I, we were talking about, like we're like some small, skinny guys, and we've done this competition before. We've placed very well, and if we were out here doing something like this, we might not even be continuing on beyond the first cut. The competition evolves. It goes maybe a little bit strong, maybe then a little bit more endurance, and this is certainly a balance for that. They're looking for that hybrid athlete, and seeing what these guys are doing out here, it really made me question, even if I knew this is exactly what this event would be, in this order, in this way, in these conditions, and I had a year to prepare, how would I be stacking up against these guys? It's actually absolutely incredible to see what they're doing, and it really makes me question if I might need to be doing some more water can carries.
I agree there. Yeah. I heard that the top team only dropped the can 5 times. So,
really?
So when you think about a mile and a half, they're only setting down the can 5 times and then returning. That is remarkable. A remarkable amount of grip strength and a remarkable amount of conditioning to continue to move on, continue to really run with the cans. And then every time what I noticed, they picked up the cans where they were moving fast. They would pick up the cans and they would move as fast as they could while they were still fresh enough to do it. And I think that was a huge advantage for them. But one thing I noticed afterwards is that they spent about 25 to 30 minutes here at the pit getting reset. So I think what they may have done is they may have done the math in their head and they said, we really want this first event. We're really going to push for it. And then on the back end, we'll take a little bit of time to recover, reset, and get into it. So as they get into it, what are they going to be? What are they looking at the rest of the day?
Yeah. So the rest of the day they're looking at the the Ranger Reckoning events, and so if especially they really bought themselves that time that you're talking about. I think the second place team was about 30 to 40 minutes behind them.
Yeah.
And so they're really, for a mass start event, you're looking back and you're saying, like, all right, where's these guys at, and how much time do I have before I'm on the same playing field with this team that's behind me again? And so I think that they're going through that contingency plan. They're saying, okay, like we wanted to be in first place. We're actually in first place. Continue on with our plan. And so like they're continuing to fight their plan. They're going to be, I don't know if you know what range they headed out to, or what event they headed out to.
I don't know what range they immediately headed out to, but I know, for those of you watching at home, the 75th Range Regiment has institutional knowledge about the competition. They have a very professional train-up led by Nick O'Brien and the HPTC staff over there. They do a great job of preparing for this competition, and they have coaches that have seen competitions for now 20 years and bring that knowledge to the fight. So wherever they're headed, it's because it's part of their plan, and they're very disciplined in their approach typically of, hey, we've got a plan, we're going to stick with our plan, and then we're only going to adjust the plan if we absolutely need to adjust the plan. So I think they're going to go out to the ranges, they're going to try to get on some of these shooting events, while they're still relatively free and not backed up with other competitors, they're going to try to get through those events very quick, and then get far away from everybody else, and trust that ranges are going to kind of open up later in the day, and they can hit some stuff on the way back. But they want to get as far out as possible, I think, and it creates a psychological barrier to your competition if you never see those guys and you're like, wow, they must be on the other side of the map right now, and I'm at the first range looking left and right and can't see anybody.
Yeah, literally, and I think you're right. I think they are executing that plan, and I think it's really interesting this year how they're releasing the weights of the events, so all the competitors know. For those of you who may not understand or haven't heard of how these events are scored, it's the total numbers of competitors. So if you made it to Ranger Reckoning, there's 40 total teams. And so if you place first in an event, it's 40 points times the weight of the event, which usually the weight of the event, so like if it's a weight of 2 and you get first place, then it's 40 points times 2, which is 80 points for that event. And historically, the weights have been hidden, and so competitors don't know how many points are available, how hard to go on a specific event. Is a certain event going to be worth more than another event? Whereas today, all the events are a weight of 1.
Yeah.
Everything is the same weight. And so I think it really does get back to that strategy of all the points are on the board, everything's available. So can you pick a route that is going to separate yourself psychologically, in time and space, to make sure that there's no backlogs? Because if you're backlogged at a range, or there's a bottleneck at last year the Prusik climb, two hours, teams waiting for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, which you might think they might be enjoying that rest after this long event, but time is ticking. They have to be back here, I think by 1800, in order to begin the night events. And so I think they're executing that plan. I think they're executing it well. They're trying to get as many points on the board as they can. But I think a really interesting thing to consider is these teams that you see, like Team 6 coming in 40th place, that's 1 point, but they're on the board. And it immediately opens up, once Ranger Reckoning opens up, it opens up the rest of the competition. So all the rest of the points are on the board. So they could go to an archery event, and you shoot a bow and arrow, and it's like 1 shot or 3 shots, or maybe you do a couple throwing knives. And all of a sudden you get 40. You get somehow placed first in the bow and arrow event, and you get 40 points, which is the same point value as this 5.5 hour event, which I think is going to shake things up. The number 1 teams, they're number 1 right now, but at the end of Ranger Reckoning, that's going to shift, or it could shift.
And I was talking to Major John Bergman earlier today, and he's competed several times. He's won this competition twice. He understands the competition very well. In 2019, he and his partner Mike Rose, he reminded us, were 34th place at the end of day 1. And they still went on to win the 2019 competition. So, although day 1's vitally important, it can still, there's so many points left on the board. I think, 2 things that they did really interesting this year. They obviously announced the weights, but those weights were split 4 ways between cognitive, physical, tactical, and technical, and they made sure that those were evenly weighted across the event. So think like the difference between shoot and user radio. We've got
Sounds like we have Team 7 coming in.
And First Lieutenant Buck.
There we go. We've got
Team
Team 7 from Third ID still pushing to complete. Again, they will not move on to Ranger Reckoning, but they are showing the Ranger spirit, showing, hey, we are still going to complete this mission regardless, and we are going to see through what we started. That is what the Ranger spirit's all about. You are seeing on full display. The average person, 1, cannot move for 5 hours and 49 minutes, and then 2, if they knew that it was over after that, would surely give up, but not a Ranger. A Ranger is going to see themselves to the finish line and accomplish the mission that they wanted to accomplish. There we go. Team 7, Third ID, finishing the water cans. Oh my goodness.
Great job, Team 7.
We are about to be joined by another legend of the game. But before he comes up, I just want to finish. We've got 4. They've split the events into really 4 bins, right? Technical, tactical, cognitive, and physical. There's a physical component to everything, but they tried to even out the weights and all of that. And then also what they did this year that I think is really powerful is they evened out just about the amount of points that are available per day. Usually in the past, day 1 has been just worth more points from a point value because of the weights and the way how many teams are in there. They've erased that this year to make sure that in day 2 and day 3 it's still a competition, and there are the same amount of points on the board for each day. So you have to push from day 1 to day 3, and you can't really have a bad event or a bad string of events because you're going to have to put it together day and day and day in order to be successful. So I think that's a pretty cool addition to this year.
Yeah, historically, you have 60 teams or so starting out the competition. You're able to capture those 60 points times a random weight, maybe 1 to 5. And so you can really take advantage of 60 teams, or before they made cuts, there were 50 teams all day long, day 1, 50 plus teams available until they cut it down to 28 or 32 or whatever it may be, and then on day 2, 32 teams, and on day 3, 16 teams. And so there were your year, you guys ran away with it. Day 3 was like just a celebration, like, all right, we all know who's going to get first place, and as long as there's no injuries, and we make sure that we're still doing our best on every event, hopefully it ends out well, which it did for you.
Yeah.
Whereas I think they've done a good job of leveling that playing field this year, so that the team who's in first place on day 3, they might not know how ahead are we. The weights increase every day because the teams decrease every day, and it accounts for that. And so I really think it's going to be interesting to see, because historically the teams who win the first event or place in the top 5 in the first event, maybe do well on Land Nav, maybe do well on like Malvesti, are typically in the top 5 in the entire competition, because those are highly weighted events historically. This year that might not be the case.
It could change dramatically. We have a drone racing event out there this year. How many of these guys have flown a small UAS system, through a small little obstacle course before? I know I haven't. That would be completely new to me. So it's like, hey, you could go there and score yourself 40 points because maybe you own a drone at home and you play with it, and you just have more experience than everybody else. So I think they've done a lot of things to try and even the playing field and create new opportunities where, like, I know the long gun is brand new out of Britain. It is a brand new weapon system, not even released to the public yet, so there's no chance that a team has had an opportunity to even get on that weapon system before. So they've done a lot, I think, to even the playing field.
There might be one team that's tried it out.
Oh boy, here we go. There
might be one team. All right, hey, let's get Luke up here. All
right, Luke Ebeling. Everyone, we are joined by the 2023. Did I get that right? Best Ranger. You want? Yeah, I'll step back. We'll figure out these transitions. Luke Ebeling, 2023. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Vince?
Oh, I'm doing good. Listen, Luke, when you competed, explain like your day 1 experience and explain what you just saw on this day 1.
My day 1 experience was somewhat similar, but we were broken into multiple different initial events as opposed to one long one, which feels very different. The strategy would be, at least for me, would be very different than how we did it. But when I competed, it was very similar. Buddy run out. We ran out with kit on for 3.5, 4 miles. Picked up a 60-pound sandbag, I want to say, and then ran back, sharing that between my partner and myself. That was one single event. So once we finished that, we went to the pit here, got our stuff off, got our kits off, and then we went down and did the run swim run. After the run swim run, we came back up and did Malvesti, and then kind of rolled into other physical events and the tactical shooting events, things like that. So our strategy was really just see how we were feeling for the day, and we were more focused on ourselves. We knew some of the good teams out there, the really fit teams out there, like Jimmy and Logan. So we knew who the fast teams were going to be, and then we just made sure that we were with them throughout the day. And then kind of for us, it was like, hey, let's do our own thing, be a 7 out of 10-ish on the effort scale and not bump above that, and do our best from there. So I think there's maybe some ability to make a statement day 1 and in the morning, which can be really powerful, but it can also be really destructive if you go out too hard. And I would guess there's a few teams out here. I mean, even how we saw people come in on this water can carry, you see teams that are pretty early to the water can carry, and then they fall behind quite a bit because they've gassed themselves out on some of these early events. But the strategy, the way I would think about the early events is, because you've got a weight of 1 throughout the morning and then throughout all the events today, predominantly the fact that this is one entire event, I would probably take it relatively easy, stay in that kind of front pack, take it relatively easy, and just make sure you're ideally one of the first ones out of the pit if you're trying to really be competitive, because that's going to give you the best positioning to be in night hold early, and then you can sit here and rehab a little bit, have some food, chill out, think about what your strategy is through the night road march and night stakes.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting change they've made in the past years. So in the past, when we competed, you had a dictated route and dictated order of the ranges, right? So it was always in the past a race to get to ruck hold, because you knew if I could get to ruck hold super soon. We have Team 52 from USASOC crossing the finish line, still showing what it means to be a ranger, finishing the mission.
Congratulations, Sergeant First Class Hendricks and Sergeant First Class.
And there we go,
McNeil.
Team 52 from USASOC crossing the line regardless. Great performance today, gentlemen. Congratulations. We had a dictated order. We had a dictated script for the competition, right? You're going to go to this range, this range, this range in this order, and it's a race to night stakes. That way you can say, okay, if I'm the first to night stakes, I can take essentially a 5-hour nap. They've kind of removed that advantage this year by saying there are 13 events out there. And last year, there was the best teams still missed 2 or 3 events. So now there's a huge incentive to stay out there in the day, because it's that you don't know what your competitors are doing. And if you possibly don't go to a range and you lose 40 points to someone in a competition that can be very close, it could really set you back. So it's kind of like a top team has no incentive to come back early anymore. They have an incentive to try and stay out all day and cash as many events as possible.
Which I think is great. And realistically, unless I knew for a near fact that I was going to be dead last on one of those events, I'm staying out there and getting every single event possible to at least get some more points on the board. But ideally, you're early in the throughput for ranges, and you have a plan of where you're going. Maybe it's furthest out and then coming back in or something like that. So you can get as many of those as possible without having to kind of fight teams to get on the range or whatever, because that's the thing that'll kill you, is you're waiting for 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour to even get on a range and be able to do it, and then you're one of the last ones to the night hold here. So really interesting, and then I think the weight of one makes things very, very interesting too, and just having known quantities for what everything is going to be, and then you're not gaming, and it takes out a lot of the guesswork of, hey, we got to hit, even last year, right? I'm going to assume that XYZ event is worth a weight of 2 or 3 or 4 potentially even. So I'm going to make sure that I hit that one, and then this one that I'm pretty confident is a weight of 1 or 2, maybe we'll skip that one altogether and just get back to night hold.
Yeah. That is a great point. I think when you don't, one of the things I think in competition design they thought of this year is if you tell everybody Krilling's weighted 5, everyone goes to Krilling right away. And naturally now you have a huge backlog at Krilling, because guys say, well, if I do well at this, it's the same as if I went to 5 other events that are a weight of 1, but they've taken that away. And so now I think what's really cool is you can kind of go to what you think your strength is. And you can say okay, I don't know anything about a Bradley. I've never shot out of a Bradley before, so maybe I'm not going to go to the Bradley range, right? And instead, I'll go chase these other, the radio. I saw a bunch of guys heading right to Todd Field because I think their math was like, hey, if an HF shot is worth the same as Krilling range, why don't I just go program the radio quick, get my, multiplier of 1, and then I'll move on from there. And I think those are some really interesting decisions that they're making pretty early in the competition.
Yeah, I thought about it a little bit last year. I haven't given enough thought to how I would strategize it if I was in that same position.
Yeah.
But it adds an entirely new layer
Dynamic.
to the entirety of the day, and you're not just strategizing, the individual events. You're strategizing the entirety of the thing.
Yeah.
Which is tough, but exciting nonetheless.
Yeah. We've got 2 questions in the chat I'll hit real quick. 1, we are still waiting on standings. We still have guys in the pit working on getting out of the pit. It looks like we have got one more team that still has to leave the pit. We've got a team leaving the pit right now to start Ranger Reckoning. Once we get those standings, we will post them. And then, someone asked about the meal plan for today. Can you kind of walk through the big change this year of what they did for meal sustainment and the hydration?
I think you were going to cater barbecue for us, right?
Just for you, Luke. Just for you.
No, so I'll let you speak a little bit more to the fueling aspect, because I don't think I understand as well as you do. But generally in the competition in the past, you're given 6 or 7 or 8 MREs or whatever that known quantity is. And here comes Team 10.
We've got Team 10 from 4ID still getting across the line. They will not move on to Ranger Reckoning, but again, they showed what it means to be a Ranger. They followed through. They finished that event regardless of what it took. They should be proud of that performance and really showing some grit and resilience out there. That's pretty impressive. Some courageous action out there. I'm not sure they have been out there for 6 hours moving those cans. Props to them for seeing it through and getting to that finish line.
It's a good gut check.
That's a great gut check. Take that one back to your company and make them do it,
yeah.
right?
So on the meal part, generally you're given 6 or 8, somewhere in there, MREs. And then you take exactly what you want, you leave what you don't want, you pack those up, you pack your ruck in a box truck, and you're not going to see it till middle of day 1. But now my understanding is they're able to pack a lot of their own nutrition, so they're still getting those MREs, which are going to be your main fuel source in terms of like proteins, fats, things like that. But in terms of carbs and getting just calories in, electrolytes, you're able to bring a lot of your own stuff. And I'll let you speak to that more.
Yeah, absolutely. First, we've got one more team finishing right here. They're crossing the line right now. I'm looking for a number, but again, we've got Rangers continuing to see it through, continuing to see themselves through the finish line. It is a remarkable demonstration of grit, I think, to come out here, be 6 hours deep, still take yourself across the finish line. That's pretty remarkable.
Team 29.
That is Team 29 across 6 hours, 2 minutes. They have completed event 1. Props to them for showing us some guts and resilience out there. We are talking about the fueling and kind of the fueling changing that's going on.
Representing the 1st Cavalry Division.
Team 61.
Lieutenant Fang and Lieutenant Anderson.
Team 61 from 1st is going to be crossing the line here shortly. They're just kind of shaking out their hands one last time. They're about 20 meters from the finish line. They're going to finish this event before they move on. That is fantastic. So the big change to fueling this year was that they're allowed to bring in their own fueling. Like you said, like you can bring in gels, carbs. You can bring in, there we go, Team 61 across the line. You can bring in some hydration material. You can bring in all your own stuff, but you got to pack it, you got to carry it. They do have a sustainment bag that they'll get access to before the ruck and I think before day 2 starts. So you've got some decisions to make, but I think what it really does is brings us into like this modern day of performance nutrition and how do you manage that. Now I know some people will say like it might be against like the old time fashion competition, but I think what we're going to see this year is like it adds another layer of competition here, and it's another layer of decision making that as a team you have to sit down now, make a feeding plan, and know that the only person responsible for your level of hunger out here today is you. But there's a fine line to tread there, right? You don't want to carry too much weight throughout the day, and you don't want to carry not enough that you're starving. And if you're starving now, you're losing caloric benefit to another team that may, have the meals or the goos or the gels or the honey stinger waffles or whatever they're bringing to the fight. And so I think it's a really, and we'll see how it plays out, but a really interesting dynamic here today, especially in the heat. If you can fuel better in the heat, you can be better equipped to handle the night road march tonight. And I think that's where we'll start seeing some big separations of how do guys take care of themselves during the day, how did they fuel during the day, and now they can perform just a little bit better than maybe they were performing relative to those teams during like event 1.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit on the side of old school or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's like you take some MREs with you and gut it out, and it really evens the playing field. Because the thing that I would see is maybe you've got some teams that are ultra distance athletes and they've done 5-10 ultra marathons, right? And they have a good awareness of their body and how they fuel and what they fuel with and what does well with their gut and so on. And maybe they even have a nutrition background. And then you've got other guys who have maybe never even touched performance nutrition and never used a goo or never used a gel before the train up. So there's a big learning curve on that, and a lot of that takes time and experimentation and figuring out how much you can take in and training the gut and things like that, which can be very tough. But you bring up a great point of, you're going to see some benefits throughout the day for those teams that know what they're doing, but where you're really going to see the benefits is through the night, day 2, day 3. That's where you're going to see the benefit of those guys who are ahead of the power curve nutritionally and can take in that sodium, those carbs, and keep those on board.
So we just got from Ranger 7, the Command Sergeant Major here on ground. They briefed that every team is out on the course from the pit, so the pit is clear. The 40-team cut has been made, and not a single team has chosen to quit. So every team that made it into the pit has decided to go out on Ranger Reckoning, regardless of how long they took on that first event. They are going to push through and see themselves through another 13 possible events with a possible 35 miles of movement.
Nobody out on this course has chosen to stop. They don't have to finish the water can carry event.
Oh, fantastic. So we're also getting that no one out on the water can course has chosen to quit either. So everyone that's still out on the water can carry course is choosing to finish the event, has basically been told, like, hey, it's on you. You can either finish or you can stop here, and they are all choosing to finish the event. I think a great testament to the Ranger community and the ethos of further, faster, and fight harder.
As they should.
As they should. That's right.
Team 26.
That's right. We got another team approaching right now. Looks like Team 28. Team 28 from the 101st is finishing right now. They are again choosing to get across that line. Fantastic demonstration. Again, I think I know it's taking longer than we may like to confirm saying, but these things do take time. We want to double check them. We want to make sure we push out accurate information. We also still have guys out on the course, so we will get you scores as soon as they've been calculated by headquarters and pushed. They are being pushed to us first. We will try to get those to you as soon as we can, but we still have guys out on event 1, so we've got to hold what we got for, I think, just a few more moments.
So Vince, can you talk from a performance background? Obviously, you've done a lot of endurance races and work yourself, and then coaching as well, and pretty deep into the nutrition aspect. What would be your absolutely ideal strategy? What are you taking out there in terms of, what brands are you using? How much are you using? When are you using it? What are your cues? Things like that. What would your plan be?
Yeah. So. I think in the world of endurance, something we've seen recently is like the transition into high carb fueling, and it's really unlocked a lot of capability and potential long term. Now, high carb fueling in a competitive sense is used at the top end of like the Ironman marathon distance to really maintain right above your first lactic threshold, your aerobic system, for a very, very long time. What's interesting is that this competition is not that, right? You can't sit in a steady state of effort because it's a bunch of, hey, we're going to move easy to the range, and then we have to go highly anaerobic. And so you have to also plan your fueling around that of, hey, I don't want to try to fuel 90, 120 grams of carbs an hour. Instead, what I want to do is I want to try to adjust my fueling requirements to what my body actually needs at that time. Because I might have an hour movement between ranges where I have low relative effort. And if I try to take 120 grams of carbs, I'm going to start getting gut distress because I'm not using it, right? And then you have guys out there like getting cramps, getting bloating, getting GI stress, and it doesn't turn well. So, a big thing I think these guys have to think about is like, okay, when I go hard, I need to pre-fuel it and I need to post-fuel it. But when I'm going easy, I can't stay on the gas pedal of fueling unless I really want to pay for it later on. So that's one. Two, I think sodium is something we talk a lot about in the Army, but it's also can be dangerous in the heat, right? Especially because some teams didn't know that fueling was allowed until recently. They may have not trained their gut to take on sodium and process sodium. And then if you take on too much sodium, you also have a problem. Like all things in the world, like too much sodium, you can run into some kidney problems, you can run into some liver problems, you can really have a tough time getting that salt out of your system if it's clogged up. So you've got to have trained the fine line of salt into your system. But something like 450, 500 milligrams an hour of salt as it's getting super hot, if your gut's trained for it, will probably go a long way in just keeping you ready again for the next event. And I think the big mantra to carry through the day for these guys is I'm not fueling for right now, I'm fueling for what's ever next, and continuing to fuel for the next thing rather than the thing I'm currently doing.
And I think the danger, especially with the sodium or with the ability to take in something that's not clean water, is a lot of these guys might have the propensity to say, hey, let me throw some tailwind or some element or whatever it might be that's either carrying carbs or sodium or both. And that's the only thing that they're taking in throughout the day. And they're going to really pay the price for that in terms of gut health and how their stomach feels and everything else.
I also, the Army has always pushed on us like hoist, some of like the higher sodium electrolyte, supplements that don't have the carb. So although it tastes like it might have the carb, it might be sweetened with some sort of sweetener, and it doesn't necessarily have the carbohydrate. It's great at the hydration aspect of this, but there's another side of that equation, and it's, do you have enough carbohydrates on board to continue? I talk to people all the time about, you only have about 2,000 calories of carbohydrates in your body at a given time. That lasts about 2 hours, right? That can be expended very quickly. So like some of those teams just on the first event expended a lot of their carbs. They have to replenish them if they want to continue to perform, and teams are going to struggle if they don't continuously replenish those carbs and stay on top of them and do it early and often. If you are out there, chugging water at some time or scarfing down a boatload of food because you feel behind, you're probably more behind than you think you are today.
Yeah, if you feel like you're behind, you're way far.
You're way far behind.
At that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Team 41 is on Krilling Range. That is the other live stream at Krilling Range right now. That's right. So we have a camera down at Krilling Range. They will start to follow some of those competitors onto Krilling Range. We are going to take a brief break here. We will wait for the standings to be pushed. We will hop back on. We will publish that to here, but you're going to just see a camera focus on the pit for a while we take a little break here, reset, get our bearings, and then we're going to start pushing out to the ranges as well to try and go get some of the coverage there. So please stay with us. We'll have these live streams going all day. You've got other live streams at the range right now that you can hop to, look at. I'm sure Jay and Blaine are doing a phenomenal job talking through what's going on out there. And then we will for sure be back here tonight before the night road march. So if you've got friends, share and send the link to them. Have them come watch the Best Ranger competition either live or on YouTube. And especially tonight before the night road march, you'll want to come in. We're going to recap the day, let you know the official standings throughout all of day one. And then we're also going to talk about what you can expect for night road march and night stakes, which cannot be understated. We are just starting the competition right now. Yeah. All right, well, with that, Rangers lead the way. We're going to sign off here, and we will be back shortly.